Hello, comic book readers, and welcome to another episode of Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is a show where we take the books, comic books, that is, from the past week, recap them, review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that are coming out this week that we think that you should buy. We should also mention that this show is sponsored by viewers like you. If you're watching the show live, you can help sponsor today's show by using the super chat or ask a question or comment here on the show and help us out. If you're watching the show after the fact, you can always do the say thanks option, so you don't have to do the whole super chat thing. You can just click that little heart with the $sign in it. That would help us out too. Or even better,
that symbol so
I know,
much.
because it's just like love costs money.
Like I don't care for that.
No, but they don't know. You know, clearly YouTube does not have designers working for them. But I should also mention that patreon.com/ComicPop is a thing. It exists, and it's been spruced up. Thanks, actually, largely in part to Tiffany, who had a bunch of ideas, had some thoughts, some suggestions.
I did.
And finally made them known, and we had them implemented. And so we changed the tiers, we changed the rewards, a few like fun little extras and tidbits. We're getting dangerously close to me giving another weekly update, which is basically just a little podcast.
Ooh,
so,
dangerously close. Watch out.
And when I say dangerously, I mean like I'm dangerously close to being late. So I don't want to do that.
No, don't do that.
But you'll get constant updates throughout.
It's just endless updates.
It's true.
It's not endless.
No.
There's just some updates.
There are more updates than there had been because there is a schedule now.
Yeah.
So you're really you're in for it. So check that out as well. If you want to help us out without any monetary value whatsoever, just give the video a like and subscribe to the channel so you get updates and you know when shows here on ComicPop Returns go live. And of course, go check out back issues on the episode of Supergirl, because that episode is great and fewer of you watched it than ever. So you should definitely check it out because that book is really good. And I know you slept on it, and like half of you didn't read it, and you should because it's awesome.
Yeah. But I was really delighted by the response to the book and the number of people who said either that they had read it because of us talking about it here, or just read it on their own, or people who were just going to go grab it because maybe they listened to the first few minutes of it and were like, okay.
Oh no, that's the thing. Is like there was a value in making that episode.
I freaking love that.
Yeah,
so much.
We sold a lot of trades, I think.
I never listen. No, they sold.
I'm happy to think of that.
They created it.
No, they did.
We helped to.
They made it, and then DC dropped it.
That's true.
They like a hot potato. They were just like, here's a thing. We will make no effort to sell it.
That sucks because it's it's easily one of the best things they've done in quite a while.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Whatever.
And there's more good times ahead when it comes to quality comics, including the books we're going to talk about on today's episode. So let's talk about some books right now. Let's just jump into them,
okay.
Shall we?
Yeah. Shall us?
I read Edge of Spider-Verse #1 because I knew people were going to ask me if I had read it.
I was literally going to be like, why would you do that?
Right? Why would I read this? And
Okay.
it's because there's a lot of audacity surrounding another third Spider-Verse in a time when I think they should be limited to one or less. This one, of course, is written by a number of creators who I actually have a lot of respect for. Dan Slott, Alex Segura, Carla Pacheco, Dustin Weaver, with art including Mark Bagley, Perez, Martin Coccolo, Calo Machado, and DJ Bryant.
Chow?
Chow. Yeah, I'm sorry. I saw the I looked like
it did. No, it
but
did.
Chow Machado.
Maybe.
But yeah, and DJ Bryant. This is the one you probably have seen circulating the internet. We'll talk about that character in a little bit, but there's yet another Spider event because Spider-Man, the lone kid from Queens, whose most fantastical element was that he brought an alien costume back and it keep replicating, now has a whole universe dedicated to him with a gazillion different characters that all make him less special.
That's what happens when you get popular.
That's right. You get multiples of yourself,
yeah.
and it influences so hard. You get an Oscar-winning movie that's animated, and also a billion-dollar movie where that's basically the premise of the movie is multiple Spider-Men.
Yeah.
But yeah, Edge of Spider-Verse, which I think there's actually been a number of books called Edge of Spider-Verse. But so the premise of this book is it's an assortment, a grab bag. Here's a few characters in the Spider-Verse we're going to showcase who may or may not factor in some way to the main event, which, whatever. But this one introduces three different four different Spider characters. The first of whom is a Scottish 17th century Spider-Man.
That's dope.
Who's fun. He has a cute kilt and everything, and he's he sounds like a Scot, but Spider-Man-y, and that's fun. That was that one. It literally is just like 1602, but
Does it say anything like Dine?
yeah. Oh yeah. No, it's spelled phonetically. Everything.
Absolute weapon.
Yeah. That's right. That's exactly what that book is, or that's what that chapter was. The next one is like clearly the more like story driven one, which is like reestablishing Anya Corazon or Aranya, who has also been Spider Girl, and they showcase like there she is in her Spider Girl costume, which is like her Spider Girl costume. It's thoroughly unremarkable, but like she's Spider Girl, right? And there's like there are like 15 Spider Girls, and now in the Spider Verse, she's probably 15,000 Spider Girls, but she's still like, you know, the primary Spider Girl of the 616 main Marvel universe. And essentially what they want to do is they want to like Aranya size her. They don't want the Spider Girl thing has gotten stale. Maybe they want to introduce another Spider Girl. I don't want to speculate. Point is, we re-Aranya'd her. Like her Spider-Man, the other totemic tattoo that glows, starts to glow again. She gets new fun powers that are actually just her old powers when she was Aranya, and they make her off-panel a new suit that is a hodgepodge of being a Spider-Girl and Aranya, and they're like, you're Aranya again. We're done with the whole Spider-Girl thing. Like, you're Aranya again. And she's like, woohoo! And it's like, you know what? That's great, because I actually really liked Aranya as a character, and it worked in a really fun, fundamental way where it's like, here's a Spider character that's like over there that like uses elements from Spider-Man that nobody cares about, like the other, and uses them in a fun, interesting way, or at the very least in a unique way that allows her to be her own character. Of course, she interacts with Madam Web, who is getting a movie. I saw behind the scenes footage of the Madam Web movie, which absolutely shouldn't exist. And now that we're canning $90 million completed films, maybe we can can the, $150 million movies that shouldn't exist. I don't know. Just saying, just putting it out there in the zeitgeist. But, that happens. There's also a story with Spider Noir, which is actually really, really well written. And it's kind of like dirty and gritty and grimy. And it's like a combination of the Spider-Man Noir from, the early 2000s and the Nicolas Cage Spider-Man Noir that you know and love from the animated series or the animated movie. And then there's the other one, which is Spider-Rex, which is it's Jurassic League. It's every idea you've ever seen.
It's a dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur. It's, Spider-Man is a dinosaur.
To be fair, they don't have to pull from Jurassic League. They could just pull from Old Man Logan.
That's right. Yeah, well, that was a Tyrannosaurus Rex with a Venom symbiote.
I know, but you got the look.
Yeah, so no, but these guys are.
But your head's already in the game then,
right? But they're sentient and they run around and talk.
I totally get that, but what I'm saying is like you have the visual in your head.
You've seen it already.
You've
so
seen
you're
Venom
more comfortable
dinosaur, and you're like, well, why can't there be a Spider-Man?
Yeah, why can't there be a goblin?
Make that happen?
Yeah, why can't there be a Norman Osborn goblin pterodon that dogs the Spider Rex? How about Spider Rex can like web sling, and he has like a mantra that's like, with power comes responsibility, and I'm like, this is below stupid.
Who wrote that one?
I don't recall who wrote that one, but it's like,
shame on you.
It is desperate in its attempt to like be a meme and to be posted on like TikTok and Reddit. Like it's trying to get on the front page.
It's hell yeah.
Yeah, it's hell yeah. It's Kite Man hell yeah. Although even Kite Man hell yeah, like
it's
was
trying
earned.
to be that. Like it wants that.
It wants that so bad, and it only has a few pages to do it. It's if you like that kind of thing, I can't begrudge you, but I will say that it's certainly not for me, and I don't know if it's like suitable for human consumption, but it's fine. It's like whatever. Like I saw, it worked. The problem is that I see it like it's desperate manipulation actually did succeed because like people are, easily manipulated. But like I saw that, there was a whole page dedicated to it and people were talking about how fun it was. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Like, I guess if it provides joy and people like understand that this is like, deliberately made to, get them to click on it and post it, then I guess I can't begrudge them that enjoyment. But it's a grab bag of characters. It doesn't really further the plot. It doesn't introduce it doesn't really tell you anything about the event. There's nothing about it that says like this is essential reading. If you just want to read a story with 4 different Spider-Man in it, like then here you go. Like if the idea of Spider-Man being less special because there's 1,000 Spider-Man appeals to you, then like you're really gonna like this issue.
Yeah.
I didn't, but like there are elements from it that I did like. I liked Aranya, I liked Spider-Man Noir. Even the Scottish Spider-Man was fun.
Right.
It was really my only grievance was the friggin' dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And like it's just I think it's
how could you web swing in
right
Scotland?
He just I don't know. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't because you're wearing a kilt, and if you're a true Scot, then
Well, he
You're
doesn't care
freeballing it.
then.
That's true. Yeah, I guess that's fair. But yeah, no, it's fine. And but actually, there's some greatness that is in this issue if you are like willing to give it a shot. But if you don't want to pay full price, obviously in the next couple of weeks it will be available in back issues bins at half price. So please, like, save your money and check it out then. But otherwise, it actually was not a terrible waste of money. It was just like, oh, okay. I still have no interest in Spider-Verse, and I don't really have any idea what the hell it's going to be. But like one Spider-Verse event just feeds into the next one. Like, I don't remember if Dan Slott even worked on Spider-Geddon, which I think is the second Spider-Verse. So like for him, it's like, this is the real sequel to Spider-Verse. Like, I don't know.
Okay,
I couldn't care less.
Right.
But I was surprised by some like real good comic booking that was in this issue. So Edge of Spider-Verse #1 that came out, and I read it, and it's a thing. So you can check that out, I guess. You got a quick and dirty one that you want to talk about? I know that you got one on your docket here.
I read Demon Wars #1, The Iron Samurai by Peach Momoko.
Yay!
Art and
writing. Yeah. Which you had a real Sophie's Choice when we were at the comic book store.
Yeah, because they had they were like, it wasn't really a variant, because they did a variant covers for this, but like
Peach Momoko does the variant covers.
Yeah, but they had other people do them.
Yeah.
But there were 2 different Peach Momoko covers. I was like, oh, so I just went with the one that they solicited. Yeah. I kind of wish now I went for the other one, but I do like this one.
I feel like you'd feel the exact same way if you went the other way.
It doesn't matter. No matter what, I wouldn't have been happy.
Yeah,
no,
I've never been happy.
This continues the story from the previous Peach Momoko like universe that is being crafted. So if you're following along with that, like, yeah, definitely grab this. And if you haven't, I think you can actually just grab this anyway, because they explained it at the beginning. Peach takes some time to like be like, hey, here's what's kind of going on in my life, this kind of thing, right?
Okay.
With Mariko, and her Onis and all that. And it's just,
which are ghosts?
What?
Which are ghosts, I believe? Demons, thank you.
Demons.
Sorry.
Demons. But yes, this is I have such a soft spot for these books, for these like alternate history style books in Marvel and DC, like take an established universe and then like set it another time, or like, so again, for me it's always the like, who's going to show up next? And I know it's like kitschy and silly and like whatever,
that's
but like
the premise of the story.
Something about it, and maybe it's because like one of my first like Marvel books was 1602, so like I have like this like attachment to it.
Yeah.
That one was special though because of how it ends. But like,
and who's friggin' making it? I mean, you got a Kubert and a Gaiman. It's like, come on.
It's a little different. But I like this story anyway. Like I think Peach does a really great job of crafting a world that like feels new but also familiar.
Yeah. Would you call her a craftsman?
I would call her craftsman. Oh, sorry, spit. No, you didn't, JM.
You want to tell that story really quick?
One time,
I was ill and I sent Tiffany to Baltimore to cover Baltimore Comic Con, and we thought it was a good idea to like film
because
creator interviews.
We were like really tiny, and like we were hoping to grow, and we had been put down on press, and we didn't want to lose that, right? So like Sal was supposed to go, and I was going to film all these interviews for him. Like he was going to do the interview, and I was going to film it because like I'm not an interviewer.
But she also she wasn't as on camera as she.
I wasn't on camera as much, and like he chose interviewees that like he knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like I was just not right. So like I had to go and I had to conduct all the interviews, and like I interviewed like David Finch and I interviewed J.M. DeMatteis, and like he was such a sweetie. But during the interview, he was talking about like writing and like and such, but he called himself like a craftsman, and he said that, and he like spit
a little bit,
but like it wasn't anywhere near my body, and like he immediately was like.
He's like, oh no,
I spent craftsman, like, and I'm like
really over exaggerated.
It was so cute. I was like, no, you're fine.
We cut that out of the interview.
We
so
did.
It'll never exist.
It. You'll never find that because it doesn't exist
but it's
anymore.
So great.
But
that's a little moment for you.
It is a little moment for me, and I'm so glad I have it.
Yeah, me too.
Just like with David Finch.
Oh man,
if I'd interviewed David Lynch, man.
Tiffany, I'm so glad you asked me that question. Let me tell you a long, boring story that does not relate.
Or at least the weather for today.
I'm in San Diego. It's 71 degrees and sunny again.
Perfect.
Thanks for watching.
No, with David Finch though, he was doing like sketches for people, and like there was a line of people, and like we had an interview time, and I was like, well, you can come back, and he's like, no, and he kept sketching basically, and he basically had the line sit down like it was story time.
Yeah. Because he's like, well, you'll ask questions, I'll answer them, but these people are here waiting for things.
Yeah.
So everyone just he'll hold court.
Yeah, I've never seen that before, but he was like, everybody sit down. Okay, here we go. I was like,
all right, take it away.
oh.
Yeah, that was really cool.
So,
it came out great.
So anyway, I really like this series quite a bit. I'm gonna I'll pick up almost anything that Peach Momoko puts out because like I'm like enthralled by her art.
Yes.
First of all, her art style. I love it. It's so different. Of course, many of you know her just as a variant cover artist, but a lot of you like her variant covers. And you just get more of that in here. In the back, there's some really fun like lore to like kind of help you along a little bit. So it's like a fun mashup of like, you know, Japanese mythology and also the Marvel universe. So, you know, again, like I said, like you don't necessarily have to have the other ones to go out and grab this because I think she does a pretty good job of kind of like being like, hey, here are some things. Maybe I'll be a little lost here or there, but I think for the most part, the first issue is pretty like, you know, new reader friendly to the series. It does help though that you might have some background on the characters just in general for Marvel. Not a whole lot. Like, do you know who Iron Man is? Cool.
Right.
All right.
Are you familiar with his more or less origins, or at the very least,
or like just who he is? That's really all you need to know.
There you go.
Like, you know, like if you see a person who looks like someone, more than likely it is them, even if they carry a different name.
Sure.
But like I think it's super fun and
Nice.
worth a read.
Brian Rowlands says, didn't think there could be a better event tie-in than the Superman Dark Crisis one, best book of the series, but X-Men Red Axe tie-in was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tiffany tweeted about it. If you can check it out over on twitter.com/therealzoobs. But yeah, man, Panda Go Crazy. Hey, just recently subscribed to Patreon to support my favorite comic book YouTubers. I literally just told Tiffany, I'm like, hey, that's a patron of ours. Thank you, Sal, for keeping up the community together. Hope to meet you one day. Well, if you come to ZapCon on September 10th, we're going to be there, and we're going to have a panel at 11:35 a.m. So check that out. We can't be late. And we're going to have like a bunch of merch and stuff. So come by. Otherwise, we'll see you at like Baltimore or New York. Ray Farr has a few things to say. He says, I adore ComicPop, but my bank account sure doesn't. I've been buying a bunch of books you've done and wanted to say thanks and for all the amazing content.
I'm sorry.
Is Symbiote Spider-Man Volume 2 worth picking up? I'm 22, but grew up reading old Roger Stern comics, so I like that era. You said that you had issues with it. The only issues I have with it, more or less, are the fact that it's drawn by Greg Land. By the way, thank you very much for allowing us to influence your finances by suggesting some books that we think you should check out.
Reading habits.
I'm also really glad that like what we don't get are people who are like, yeah, I hate you guys because like you recommend these books and then I read them and I hate them and like I don't understand what your like taste levels are. Like I've never seen that. So I'm very thankful that this is the problem.
Right. And I think that's the benefit though of having a longer running show is that like you have had the opportunity as an audience to get a temperature on our typical taste.
Right.
So, like,
so you're not gonna like test the waters with us.
Right. Well, you can also take our you know, criticism or praise of a book and go like, okay, but I know that they like this or this, so like maybe I will try this.
Yes.
Or not.
It's true. But yeah, no, Symbiote Spider-Man is great, and I wish it were drawn by anyone else. Like, it's Peter David. He remembers drawing or writing that book back then, and probably better than he would if he was trying to write anything from today. So it's pretty authentic. I would definitely check it out. But the art, I just can't get past. He also says, sorry for a third, but I listened to your commentary for Transformers 4, and it was great. Hope we can get new tracks every now and then from you guys. I'd like to do more of them. That was Age of Extinction. If you haven't already checked it out, check out us watching Transformers 4 Age of Extinction because it is so funny because that movie is so terrible. It's also great because like it's the whole crew. But then Ben fell asleep at 15 minutes in. And so like you'll occasionally hear him like snoring, but also like I thought he was just really mad. Like I thought he ended up being interested in the movie. And so he was just stoically like not reacting to anything we were saying. But it turns out he just fell the hell asleep. How good is Age of Extinction? That good. Dr. Bright, hello. Enjoyed the recent back issues of Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
Thank you.
Are you fans of Dr. Fate? I think he's awesome. Any reading recommendations?
I honestly I
like the idea.
I like the idea of Dr. Fate, and I like the Dr. Fate on teams, but I haven't really delved into like a solo series with him. It's so funny because I'm like I love magic users, but like I don't know. There's just something about him.
It's tough because it's like there are multiple Dr. Fates. The helmet's kind of complicated.
Hey, the complication doesn't bother me.
I know, but like it's not as like Doctor Strange is just like magician. Right? Like, okay, I get it.
He's not a magician.
But it's like tragic sorcerer. Fine.
Yeah.
That's every sorcerer story. I get it. Dr. Fate is like, well, who is it? We should get the DeMatteis run.
Yeah, well, I think what it really comes down to is like me like being nitpicky about my magic. Because like listen, I like Constantine, right? and like, but he deals with magic, but he also deals with like, you know, like deity based magic and religious based magic. But like,
Yeah.
and like, but I really prefer Doctor Strange's style of magic where it like calls
more
upon all these,
Lovecraftian. It's
more
more
Lovecraft-
esoteric
yeah,
magic
yeah,
as
yeah,
opposed to like about God.
right. And like, and I like Moon Knight.
Right.
But like, there's just something about like it just being, I don't know. And I know there's more to it than that, but like, I don't know. One day I'm gonna go, all right, and just rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, we'll get DeMatteis's run because it's so cheap.
That would definitely,
and that would be a way to jump in, especially because like I think Dr. Fate is a woman in that one. But Tony Connor says, thanks to yourselves, Benny and Rob's channels have had the best guides to help me in my DC timeline collection. What you all do matters, and I can't thank you enough. Live forever. F Pariah, Tony. Thanks, Tony.
Yeah. I like that last part the most.
Especially because you have a little pariah that will never leave you.
I love that you leave this here. So like every Monday I have to look at him.
Well, also, you know, Dark Crisis comes out. So we got to talk about him. Pedro Vengas just got back from a Portland trip and recently picked up Sandman Book 1 and the Paper Girls Companion because of the shows.
Yay!
I'm glad to hear that.
That's the best thing to hear about those types of things. Yeah. Honestly, that means a lot.
Right?
Like, seriously, because like that's the most the comic book industry can hope for.
Yeah. Is that like
you did it?
That's why they do those things,
and I love that about you.
The Derpy of the Derps. Hey, Sal and Tiffany, hope you're doing well. I love the most recent back issues. Got a vacation coming up that I'm sure going to pick up the trade for.
Yay!
Nice.
Again, it's just like it's only a $20 trade.
Yeah. Daniel Prieto, glad to catch you guys live. Keep it up. Well, thanks, Daniel.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for being here, dude. Mongoose, the artist, Tiffany brought me into Supergirl with your Supergirl Human Target debates. Read both and couldn't decide. Loved Immortal X-Men and read. Both had great lines.
Yes.
They did.
Do
you want to talk about X-Men Red or you want to wait?
That's the last one.
Okay. All right. Cool. Then what's the next one for Tivy? Is it Immortal X-Men number 5?
No, I was actually gonna talk real quickly about Legion of X.
Legion of X, yes.
The Cy Spurrier X-Men book.
That's right, yeah.
Which is not involved in Judgment Day, yet definitely deals with characters who should be involved in Judgment Day. So you got to kind of piece that together that this is happening.
It could just be Cy going like, I don't care.
I think it just happens beforehand. I think we have to accept the fact that this is all happening beforehand. So this is by Cy Spurrier and Jan Bazaldua.
Yes.
And I like this book. It's fun. It's
well, you like Spurrier a lot.
I do like Spurrier quite a bit. I really, really do. But this is, of course, dealing, because listen, I came off of Spurrier from Hellblazer, and like all I wanted was more. And while this is not the same tone at all, it is like that type of book where it's like, hey, we're definitely dealing with costume characters who are more brightly colored than John. But we're gonna talk about some more in-depth things like Nightcrawler. This entire journey he's been on in the Spurrier books has been questioning his religion.
Oh,
right. You know what I mean? Like questioning his religion, forming a religion for Krakoa. Like that's been his journey, right? Yeah. And of course you've got Legion being involved with this, and he's been good. He's been like,
he's been staying in line.
He's been very much staying in line and being very helpful.
Okay.
But of course, like, being a thorn in his father's side.
Of course.
Because he's like, being better than him in a sense.
As well he should be.
Yeah. But in Legion of X, the idea here is that Nightcrawler had created like the Legionnaires, which are like a secondary police force that aren't X-Force, that deal with like things on Krakoa and try to make things better. And like their home base is in a like pocket reality that Legion created.
Okay. Well, he's able to do that.
Yes. So there's a lot going on there. Juggernaut, of course, has been on the team for a couple of issues now, against Charles's wishes.
Mm-hmm.
Which Juggernaut takes really hard when he finds that out, because like they told him that he was cool with it.
Yeah.
And then it was revealed that he wasn't, and he was like, that sucks.
Damn it, Chuck.
That really sucks.
That really does suck, because like Charles is all about second chances.
Yeah.
He himself requires multiples.
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't Krakoa be the place for that?
Yeah, but I mean, like,
he's like, you're not a mutant though, so get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, and he's also like, there's no way, like where the Juggernaut goes, like destruction follows. That's like his mentality.
True.
And to be fair, he does like that's the nature of his abilities,
Yeah,
like,
he's a human Juggernaut. He can't be stopped. All he does is smash.
You're gonna have him on Krakoa, and of course, what's one of the rules of Krakoa is to not hurt Krakoa. So it's like I kind of get where Charles is coming from, but he's definitely approaching it from the wrong perspective.
Just take the crystal out of him.
Well, they need him for like his abilities, and like Nightcrawler wants him on the team because he's like, no, he should have a second chance.
Right, but no, I'm saying like Charles should be like, he can stay on Krakoa if he's not a Juggernaut.
Right, but then but they want him there.
But they want him there. Yeah.
But like additionally, while this has been going on, Arrakos had an issue with like false gods. They're gods, but they show up and they try to like sway the Iraqis to follow them, and
Yes.
then they're therefore punished
Naturally.
for doing so, like the gods are,
Mhm.
and also the people. But there was like one that got away.
Yeah.
And we have to find them. So Nightcrawler paired up in this buddy cop book with Zazen, weaponless Zazen.
Is that a Iraqi person?
Yeah, her ability, she's called weaponless because her ability is that she can like paint the truth of someone. Like, so she could paint something, but like she sees the truth in you.
Okay.
But like that's not useful to a war of people, so she's known as weaponless, even though she's
like
a
Cypher,
mutant
yeah,
and has
okay.
like an ability, right?
Right.
So they've been paired up, and like they have a thing for one another, and she likes him. Like she's like,
yeah,
little blue man.
Didn't he bang somebody recently though?
He banged her.
Yeah, there we go.
4 times.
Okay.
Because like she's like, one time is enough. Because after that, it's indulgence, and we don't take part in indulgence. He's like, yeah, but we probably just should.
Right.
So he convinces
we
her
have to
do
make
it 3
sure.
more times.
Well, we have to make sure we have like a kid.
Maybe. But like she's starting to like question herself based on his influence, and he's starting to question himself based on her influence because she doesn't believe in religion.
Right.
She's like, you should believe in yourself, and like clearly you don't. There's like a hollowness like behind your faith.
Fair.
Like all you care about is helping others and hurting yourself.
Right.
And he's like, ouch.
Oh no.
But inevitably there's that character Switch who was like jumping body to body and like mutilating the mutants he was in, because it's like that's not technically illegal, right?
Yeah.
But it turns out he hooked up with this deity.
Okay.
And so like the deity's been powering him, so it added magic to the mix.
Mm.
But inevitably Nightcrawler like forces him to like take him so that when they switch, Nightcrawler's in his body, he can find the deity.
Cool.
The deity is like a mishmash of like creation of things. Because like obviously it was like a mischievous deity. So it's like, oh, is it Loki? He's got the horns.
I remember us talking about that.
Yeah, but it's not. And like I assumed it would not be because Spurrier is not that.
Right, but Loki's on the cover of the issue.
What? Where? Oh no, yes, but no. But yes, but no.
But no.
But no.
Okay.
Because like the idea here is this guy's an amalgam of
all of like the mischievous
of like random pieces. So it's like, you know, Loki's helm and like the feathers and fruits of Eris and like the mocking maw from Anansi. Like he's just a bunch of
god or
like artifacts like just put together.
Okay.
And he's like, so like I suck. But like, and I'm here to serve.
Right. So he's like Mimic.
Kind of. But like Nightcrawler's basically like, you should believe in yourself. Why don't you try that?
Right.
Because that's what she said to him.
Yeah.
He's like, maybe I should do the same.
Fair.
And then it turns out that like Aura Cerata, the like eyeball thing,
yeah,
you see a lot. She's the one that first was his follower.
Okay.
So like she's the one that brought him to being.
And
then like wants to condemn him now and destroy him.
Right.
Now the reason I say that you need to assume that this is probably happening beforehand is because of the fallout from X-Men Red. So just kind of assume that this happened before all of that.
Right. I would hope because there you go.
It's a really well written book. From like, I love it. I think Spurrier is great. I can't remember if this is issue 3 or issue 4, but there's this amazing moment where Pixie is like simultaneously trying to track down Switch, Nightcrawler, and Zazen are trying to find this deity. They realize that they're one and the same, and that they're both working on the same case. But she runs into this like vision of the deity, right? But he's huge, and he says like, "You shall not pass." And she goes, "No offense, boyo. The Gandalf impression needs some work. Ask Magneto when he's drunk. Honestly, it's uncanny."
Oh,
and I'm like,
that's fun. Cute,
adorable. I don't know if like anyone else is like, this is my favorite book. Like I like this book a lot. But like right now, it doesn't have the grandiose nature that like some of the other issues this week had, and it's not connected to what's currently going on. But that shouldn't sway you from something that's a really genuinely good book that questions not only the actions of Krakoa and the society that they've built, but also like might call into question some of your own, you know, beliefs and or not even like beliefs, but like views on the world.
Yeah. Cool.
So, yeah.
That's nice. Matthew Terlaga, I'm glad that this Spider-Verse event doesn't involve the Inheritors for once. And did you notice that the Scottish Spider person was named MacDonald Gargan? Oh, I did not notice that his name was Mac Gargan. That's fun.
Mac.
I didn't know it wasn't necessarily going to involve the Inheritors. I bet it does in some way. Daniel Hospitales, here's a couple to keep the lights on. Love you guys. Thank you very much, Daniel. Appreciate it, man. Cayetano Garcia, hey Sal, what do you think of Prey and where does it rank in the Predator franchise? Should we talk about Prey for a minute? We can just review Prey.
Okay.
Prey is great. We loved it.
Yeah.
I, of course, saw it in theaters with the cast and crew
I
back at
hate
San
you
Diego
for
Comic-Con. It was totally worth it. I had the embargo was lifted, I think, on August 4th or something. But I, of course, have been like quietly talking about how great it was, but didn't get a chance to talk about it in depth. We're not going to do that necessarily right now, but we will talk about how we did have a viewing party at our house. We had a couple people over. We just watched the movie. I was happy to not tell anyone what to expect from it. And I think you guys were pleasantly surprised / not surprised because you heard about how much I enjoyed it. So you knew at least that I liked it. But yeah, what did you think of Prey?
I freaking loved it. My favorite Predator movie is Predator 2. Don't at me. It's my favorite. But I gotta tell you, I think Prey is edging it out. And not like for maybe the most obvious reasons, because I'm sure people will be like, oh, it's because it's a female.
You're a woman, and a women are, you can't possibly imagine yourself as a protagonist if it's not you.
No, actually, I can. That's why I like.
Right, that's why I like Danny Glover.
That's why I like Danny Glover, because he's an everyman.
Yeah, but you're also not like
how I can actually imagine it, because he's an everyman.
Yeah, but you're also not like a 60-year-old black man, so it's like, yeah, see,
he wasn't 60 in that.
He's been 60 for the past 45 years.
But like I still love that movie. Like, hands down. I love that movie, and I'll watch it anytime it's on. But the way in which Prey was shot, like the cinematography that lended itself to like the grandiose nature of the movie and made it feel like this is a film. Like we're watching a movie.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that was so like refreshing to see that have like a predator stalking around in the background. Like it made it feel more like what the predator. Yeah, I know. I see it. Yeah, there's a fly.
Yep.
No. But it made it feel more like what every Predator movie really should be, which is like here's a movie that's going on, and then a Predator shows up.
That's
so
right.
It strikes me as like, here's a period piece.
Yes.
Because of the way in which it's shot, and like, not only like the cast and the actors and the music, but like just literally actual like shots and color palettes from the film.
Yeah.
Just make it feel like, oh, you're just watching this movie, but a Predator is going to show up.
Yeah. And the Predator doesn't waste time being there.
No.
Here, hang on 1 second. All right. I had to hit the mic, so I thought I'd mute it.
He didn't get it.
I didn't get it. But anyway,
it's action-packed. It's like, it doesn't pull punches, but it does the thing that I really like, especially in a movie like this, where it like has like it's set against maybe something like a larger backdrop. Like there's a whole like group of individuals, but like at the end of the day, it's a small cast that's going to be taking on this thing. Like, that's what Predator 2 does.
That's
too.
that's every good Predator movie is that.
Even though in Predator 2 you're like in a city full of people, it's really focused on a very small group.
There are 4 main characters, and there are 4 characters like in Predator 2. Like like that's really the key for me, is that like it needs to be a small group against like this like unstoppable being. It like whittled down to one individual against this unstoppable being. Exactly. Now for you, so it's like Predator 2, Prey, and then Predator 1 and
honestly
Predators?
Like Prey right now is edged out Predator 2 just because I haven't seen Predator 2 in a hot second.
In a while.
And like I'm just riding high by how good that movie looked for me. Now I know a lot of people are complaining about the CG, and if it's like
I complain about the bear.
If at the end of the day, like your complaint is the fact that the CG bear doesn't look cool,
like a real bear,
and the fact that like what the CG bear is doing in the movie, because I will not spoil that for you. And instead you're not thinking about that and how
that moment
that
I was like waiting for it. I'm like, yes, because like I did complain about the CG bear, but it needs to be CG in order for a sequence to take place. And I was like, I hope these guys think this is as awesome as we all in the theater did.
And I will say, what was nice about having a home viewing was I got to be as audible.
You'd be like, ah!
Like I was very audible throughout the entire movie, and I hope the other 2 people who were watching the movie were not distracted by my noises. Because like I watched. That was I physically watched that movie. I had real reactions to it. Loved it.
That's awesome. For me, I think it is up there, but I'm a classic guy. So it's like Predator, Predator 2, Prey, Predators, and then there are no other movies. Because I still like Predators. I think Predators works, and I think it's solid.
I do too.
But
I guess I'm Predator 2. They're like gonna volley for 1 and 2 basically forever now. Then Predator for me. Then Predators. And then honestly, there are moments in AVP, the first one that I like. I don't like that movie, but there are moments in that movie that I'm like, That's cool. That's
and
fun.
you know what's funny? Every
Okay.
moment you do like is just stolen from the comic
I
books.
know, and
Like,
that's why I
where
clearly
it's like,
like
oh,
it.
a woman teams up with a predator. That's
It's not
a
even that.
comic
It's
book.
not even that. For me, it's the moment that he's like teaching her.
Yeah, where he shows her how like,
he's like, all right,
this doesn't, the acid doesn't penetrate here.
yeah,
Like,
like you primitive being. Look,
look at it, what you thick person. Look at what I'm trying to express to you. Yeah, and it is really cool to see a xenomorph and a predator on screen at the same time.
Sure.
But I still hate those movies,
I'm
especially
telling you, like it'd be a very short-lived podcast, but like I could talk about Predator.
I know, yeah, me too.
Like,
That's a show.
That was one of those things that I think early on I was like, yay, good. He accepts Predator too. I don't know if you were on board the same way I was, and I like to think that through my eyes,
yes,
you grew a greater
but I did like it.
Yeah.
I did like Predator 2. I remember, family being like, you shouldn't see Predator 2. It's like too much, and I was like, I loved how like gory, and it's a great kind of movie you could see at 11 years old, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, it's dope.
But that was one of those like early on like relationship bonding moments.
It's like, oh, Predator 2. Adam Frazier had a fantastic time at C2E2 this weekend. Got to meet Daniel Warren Johnson again, and Donny Cates gave me a box of chicken nuggets that he later signed. Completely missed Claremont's weird ramblings, though. Well, that's good. That's good for you.
Were there nuggets in the box?
Right. I would hope that you ate all the nuggets and he just gave you the garbage. But yeah, man, D-Dubs is great. He's such a sweet dude. I'm telling you, he's like the Mr. Rogers of comics. You got to meet him if you get a chance. I love that he loves like violence, and he draws this like it's such an emotional way in which he draws, and the like everything is on that page. Like you just all this action and kinetic energy into it. Donny Cates is a sweet dude, and he's always been pleasant whenever we've run into him.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But yeah, and
his wife is like so sweet,
isn't she? But yeah, we also missed Claremont. That's for the best. Young Goku over 9,000, multiple Spider-Man is like multiple Super Saiyans. It just has diminishing returns and eventually boring. I bought it and I just didn't care. Oh well. Yeah, I mean that's and then we're gonna learn those lessons. Hats Beetle, here's some as a big thank you for letting me know about Spider-Girl, one of the best reads I've had. Supergirl. Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was just saying.
Yay!
But yeah, that's great. Enjoy Supergirl, man. Jordan Hughes, glad I could make it to the live. My girlfriend and I recently broke up and wanted to say thanks for making a long day easier. Keep those lights on. Sorry for the troubles, Jordan. Thank you so much for letting us hang out with you while you move on with your life. Hopefully, things are gonna get better. Not hopefully, things are gonna get better, but hopefully you will get the you'll move on sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
But thanks for hanging out with us. Chase Welling says, just read Goodwin Alien book. Thanks to Sal. Predator from Marvel looks good. What artist would you guys want for Marvel's inevitable AVP book? I think we all know the answer to that. But if you haven't already checked out Walt Simonson and Archie Goodwin's Alien book, the one to get is the oversized edition. It's over there.
Wait, what's your answer?
I will answer just a second, but like you should, if you haven't already, the Alien adaptation by Simonson and Goodwin.
Where is it?
It's over there. It's in the reading corner, but like it is an adaptation of the movie, and it's not just like the script, it is of the film. And if you get a chance to like pore over it, like it's a great comic, but this oversized edition is of course like the best way to look at Walt Simonson's work. As you can see, it's massive. This was actually, I made this comic strip. I don't like to advertise like my personal stuff while I'm doing like my job, but we did this comic strip called Flight of the Binturong, and I will tell you that like that comic that I made, like, so when I chose to be creative, I would read this and listen to the Tron Legacy soundtrack, and it was just this combination of those tones and feelings. But when you get this kind of thing, the original art editions, when you open it up and look inside, you can see that like they scanned the original pages, but like the art pages, so you can see like when they've made changes or when they were like Scotch tape or coffee stains. And you can see also, of course, like all of Simonson's art, which is on display, and like just phenomenal stuff. So if you haven't already picked this up, you must. I think did Simonson sign this one?
I don't think so. Oh no, he did.
Yay! Ta-da! Yeah, look at this. The derelict spaceship. Like and on screen doesn't look, on your phone, which you're inevitably looking at the show on, doesn't really capture it. But this is, and the level of detail, it's like there's a movie, and Alien is arguably a perfect film, and this is arguably a perfect comic book. You should definitely check this out if you haven't already. But thanks, Chase, for getting us a chance to talk about that. Michael Briers, hey, thanks for the show. It's how I find out about new books. I don't think about. Read Batman 126 the other day, and super awesome reading Sentinel of Liberty while watching. Nice.
You didn't answer who your artist pick is.
Oh, Daniel Warren Johnson.
Oh, okay.
Just get Daniel Warren Johnson to draw AVP from Marvel, if and when they ever make it.
Maybe.
Somber Shadow 001, amazing episode of Back Issues. You know, it's a good episode when Tiffany makes Ben cry.
I didn't even mean to. Like,
No.
that came out of nowhere.
It did.
What?
Who's your pick for AVP from Marvel?
I don't know. I don't really have a good pick right now, honestly. I was gonna say Dan Mora. Because of Once and Future and his ability to draw beasties and crazy looking
his
things.
Xenomorphs would look great.
Yeah,
there's no question.
I think his Predator would too, and I think it would be really interesting action.
I agree. Yeah, and he choose really dynamic poses and such.
Yep.
I would also like to see. I mean, the dude who drew Alien back for Dark Horse, who's occasionally doing design work for NECA.
Mm-hmm.
I want that artist to come back. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. Talal House, how do I get that commentary track? I just posted it actually in the chat, so you should find a link to it. But just type Age of Extinction Comic Pop and you'll find it. Brady White, hey guys, or hey friends, how do you do? I just read DC 1062, and it was interesting. It might be a book I sit on for a bit. The Gordon book by Spurrier was fun. I agree.
I still haven't read it yet.
Yeah, I gotta remind you to pick that up.
Yeah.
Living Freak, I saw that Spider-Man dinosaur toy. Honest to God, I thought it was a squirt gun. Yeah, I mean, it's just.
Oh, the toy's already out?
I assume.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, maybe it's it's inspired by the toy. The Telphonics, I whipped through Woman of Tomorrow, so I could watch. Yay. Well worth it, but I need to reread it. Haha. Yes. We got passes for ZapCon. We've never been. What should we expect from a New Jersey Comic Con? Keep the lights on.
Okay, so from that one, I don't expect a real
This is not like a Comic Con. This is not like New York Comic Con or Baltimore.
What you are gonna get, they're gonna be some smaller creators there. We're gonna be there just because we're local. So this is more like a local show. Think of it definitely like that, but they're gonna have really what this is for them is. They have a ridiculous amount of inventory. They have a scary amount of inventory.
It's a daunting amount of books.
A fire hazard amount of inventory.
But in fantastic condition. That's the other thing is they have. I believe there are going to be 500 long boxes.
Yes. So if there are in particular individual issues you're looking for, have a list.
Yeah.
Ready to go that you're definitely looking to get because there might be in there, and a lot of them are going to be $1.
Yeah. $1 to $2, I think, but they're also going to be in immaculate, shelf ready condition. Mm-hmm. So it's worth checking out. But also, there's going to be creators and artists and writers and stuff like that there as well.
But
it's not tables, but it's not going to be
a bigger con where it's all going to be in one room.
Yeah, it's in the Wayne PAL. So it's not going to be in a ballroom with a whole bunch of stuff. There will be panels, but they're going to be on the same floor and space as the con. Yeah, so you're literally just going to walk behind a curtain, and there will be the panel.
It's getting your toes wet. You're be oh, okay, cool.
Very very easy to get into.
Yeah,
but it's all about just meeting creators that are going to be there. And if you go to ZapCon fam, Zap, Z-A-P-P, con, fam.com, you can check out who's going to be there. And it's not a crazy list. We're on it. So it's there was one top tier comic book writer that was going to be on that list for the last 3 years and then just wasn't on the list anymore. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know who the biggest creator is, but
But the creators are there.
But they're local creators.
They're local creators. And so if you're the type of person also who likes to just get art commissioned, even if it's not from a super well-known artist, but maybe a known artist or just an artist you happen to maybe like their stuff. A lot of them will sit and do sketchbook commissions.
That's true.
For you while you're there.
Yeah. Storm King says, do you think there will be a Prey 2 and will they include the lore from the comics about the healing properties of the Predator blood? No, I don't think there's going to be any healing properties. And no, I don't think... I think there will be a Prey. If Prey performs, I expect there to be a Prey 2. But I don't want a Prey 2. And here's why.
Well, how about this? I want a Prey 2 if Prey is just the like moniker for the series, and then it takes place in different places.
Right, and that's the thing. I don't want to see these characters again. I think we're good.
Well, no, and if these people who made this movie are the type of people I think they are, who like clearly
get it,
understand what made it work, they should understand that what made it work was going someplace else.
Right. Going different times, going different locations,
different places, different like
protagonists.
Yeah.
No, I saw someone tweet this, and I was like, how come you have like 16,000 likes? And I've been saying this for 20 years and no one, and Tom King makes fun of me. But like the Predator, Prey proved the Predator formula, which is like take the Predator and drop him in a time frame that is interesting. Give him a like a simple, flimsy action movie script to ruin, and then have him do that. Like a disgraced Ronin in the Japanese countryside during feudal Japan times, and then the Predator shows up to like dog a village. That's your movie. An old disgraced gunslinger who's like an alcoholic sheriff, and then like a Predator shows up, and there's like cattle rustlers that show up, and then the Predator appears. Like those are your movies.
Yeah.
And like and then you just make them as well as you can, and they're genre pictures. Like this was a film about the Comanche Nation, who are also dealing with this like woman in her tribe who wants to be like accepted for something other than what they expect her to be, and then a Predator shows up.
Yeah,
like
there's another movie happening.
and
then the Predator
that you could have actually seen.
Yeah,
and it was great, but like then the Predator makes it like all that much more exciting. Plus, it's like well shot, and it's like got good action. That's what you need to do. But like make a Comanche Nation movie, make a samurai, like a spaghetti western, or like make those movies, but with the Predator in them.
Yeah, there's also a moment in those movies, or in this movie in Prey. There's like two moments really, and they're both connected. But it's the moment that like connects it to Predator 2. And like I think I almost like peeled myself in half.
I didn't tell anyone. I was like, I can't. I was like, this is so dope.
Yeah.
And I remember in the theater, 4 people were like, "What?"
That would have been me.
But I was like, "Yay!" They noticed.
Yeah, that would have been me. Yeah, you could. You know what? You remember that White House Down movie?
Yeah,
it would have been better if it was a Predator.
Yeah, right? Oh my God. White House Down. Yeah, just take shitty scripts. Like Die Hard 5 could have been saved if a Predator showed up, killed John McClane's terrible acting son, and just made it John McClane versus the Predator. Like that's how you fix these things. Riddick versus the Predator? Oh, now we fix the Riddick franchise. Like
what you need is a Predator show up in your movie. That'll fix it.
That'll fix it. That'll fix the movie. Now, you have to like keep the budget, simple.
Yeah.
But like, hey, nobody likes those Pirates movies anymore. But what about if like Jack Sparrow fights the Predator?
No, I don't
on a pirate ship.
I don't want to be a name character. I like just
a
character you don't know.
Oh yeah, exactly. No, because then you don't know if they're going to survive or not.
Yeah.
Living Freak, Brett Booth on art for the Marvel AVP book, please. He's fun. Yeah, he'd be cool. Jack Rogers, Ripaverse thoughts. I got none. So let's talk about these other books that it came out. I guess I'll talk about Batman. They're all big books. My next 3 are all big.
They're all big books. And they can't lie.
So this is Batman 126 from Chip Zdarsky, Belen Ortega, and of course Jorge Jimenez. This is continuing this is the next issue in the Zdarsky run for Batman, and it's great. It's just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. It works. So what? But what does it work? Batman is like in a weird place where he's in a weird place where he's like,
yeah, I know. I read it.
Oh, you read it? Oh, well, great. The sequence in which he's like, I'm an old man who surrounded himself with children and I need to get back to like basics. I'm like, fuck yes.
When for me, it was when he said like, get up, old man. I'm like,
Batman. Yeah, but like the fact the entire Bat family is on display, shows up, showcases Batman's legacy more or less, and then gets their asses handed to them by Failsafe, this new character. And like, again, I don't want to fuel any fires that shouldn't be lit, and I don't want to appear to be a complainer, because I have hit some major like dings against previous creators for propping up their own original characters using the Batman title to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Miracle Molly, Punchline, the designer, every James Tynion, the gardener, every single James Tynion the fourth character, Clown Hunter, Ghost Hunt, Clown Hunter, Ghost Maker.
Yeah, sorry.
Love Taker, Heartbreaker, and of course, and Josh Williamson did the same thing.
Oh yeah,
like he created that other one. His name I can't even fucking remember. But like, and Chip did the exact same thing in issue 2 of his run. But everything else around it is so fun, cool, earned, and character driven that I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Well,
I'm glad it's not like, I
definitely had that. I had that moment. I'll say that I think how this arc shakes out will determine whether or not it was like a cash grab or not, because a lot of times it's like there was easily a villain that already existed that you could put into the spot. You know what I mean? But like so far this one,
right, it could have been like Deathstroke, or it could have been
no, I'm just saying like, but so far like with the other creations that
Yes.
we had issues with, like, and that's not to say they should never create, because I think
No.
they should, but like there comes a point where it's like you're doing this for not
Yeah, you're doing this so that
you're
like
not
you
doing it
can.
for story-driven reasons.
No, you're doing this because you want to get paid in the future, and I
Yeah.
get that.
So I think that the key is going to be to see where Chip takes this story, and I think
Yeah.
that will determine whether or not it feels like it was done in service of the story or was done in service of Chip.
I think Chip doesn't give a shit. Like, you see Chip and he's like, I did it because I'm writing Batman, not because like I'm trying to further the Chip Zdarsky brand.
Right.
The Chip Zdarsky brand, while it's not like, there's no like there isn't a Chip in every household in America. Zdarsky's like, I'm talented. I'm like, he could be like, he is like Batman himself. Like, he could be a safecracker or a concert pianist or a brilliant surgeon. Like, he is a graphic designer. He's a writer. He's an artist. Like, he's a triple threat, quintuple threat. And he doesn't need to work in comics to make those things work.
No, he's really funny too.
And he's clever and funny. Like, he could be a YouTube personality. He could work for a newspaper like he used to, or a magazine. He could run like a website, or create whatever. Like, he doesn't need Batman, is my point.
He does as he pleases.
Yeah, he does as he pleases. And that's how he gets like the power he has. Because he shows up to like Marvel retreats and he's like, I don't give a shit. They're like, we need you to write Spider-Man. And he's like, I'm not gonna fucking do that. Like, I'm out. He rejected. He's not going to Marvel retreats anymore.
Wow.
They invited him. They were like, hey, come. And he's like, I'm writing Batman. I can't come to those. And they're like, oh, who cares?
He's like, I do.
Yeah. And he's like, I can't. He's like, I know what DC is going to be doing now. Like, Batman is the bottom line for DC Comics. And like, I'm not going to take that privileged information to this meeting. Like, it might influence, even if I keep it to myself.
He's also a good guy.
He's also a fucking professional.
Good guy, Chip.
So like, I trust Failsafe, even though I don't care that it's like a robot that's trying to kill them. But also the fact that it's a fucking robot means I don't have to like worry about what the agenda is or what people's like interpretation of what agendas are. Because the other thing was, I didn't want to like fuel the fire, because it's like a lot of those characters I had a problem with are also women, and I don't want to be like, oh, the problem is they created too many female characters.
No, the
problem is that they were like, I don't know if they were in service of the story or if they were service of their own bottom line.
And that's what it is, and that's what always upsets me, is that like, create characters, but create them because like the story needs it.
Exactly. Or it's like, well, except that the fact that like they were writing those stories in service of that character. Like, well, the story with Punchline needs to work because it's the introduction of Punchline. Like, yeah. That's not a story then. But anyway, this issue is dope AF, and we see Batman like driven to the edge, and it's so great to see that, because even though we've seen it like 1,000 times, because it was so exhausting the last 3 times, because it was done kind of hacky, seeing it now is like, oh, that's kind of earned. And then we get these callbacks. Like, the first issue that he did has Batman having these dreams about the 3 Jokers returning, and you're like, wait, what? Like, you're gonna reference the 3 Jokers, and the last page reveal of this is calling back to Batman R.I.P., which like they haven't done that character or that affectation of Batman, which I don't want to spoil, since Morrison. And I saw somebody go like, "Is it too soon?" I'm like, "Too soon? It's been like 15 years. No, it's not too soon.
Yeah,
this is awesome." So yeah, it's not like that Detective Comics issue I read where I'm like, this is like reading Legends of the Dark Knight.
Right.
This is what reading modern Batman should feel like. It's not the Snyder Capullo run where it was like, wow. Like, the Snyder Capullo run every month, I was like, wow, until I got sick of it. But even when I got sick of it, in contrast to everything else, I should have been more perhaps I judged you too harshly, because they were taking big swings, and it had Capullo on art, and it just worked. And Snyder like really, really wanted to talk about Batman as a character. This is the big swings they need to be taking, but not in a way where they're like, we're making cosmetic changes to the character.
Yeah.
Like, look, it's the Batgirls. Look, it's the Robins. Look, it's Duke, for God's sake.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm making a point about Duke. Here's the Duke arc. People thought that, like, including myself, were like, oh, it's about Tim now. Like, this is a Tim time. No. Tim's just in it.
Yeah, no, he's just like, no,
alongside,
here's the family.
Yeah, right. So it works. It's it's a solid book. How did you feel about it?
I liked it. I thought it was good. It is action packed. I will say that. Like,
yeah, and Jimenez is doing something new with what he was doing before.
Yeah, and I definitely think that this arc is going to come around the other way. Like, I think we're like hitting hard in one direction. I think by the end of it, I think we're going to come to the realization that that's not
how we should be.
Yeah.
It's not going to end that way. It might end with a whimper or in a cave. It might end like in a quiet little like.
Well, no, I'm thinking. Well, I meant like just in terms of like the like railing against the family.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come around the other way. It's like I do need them.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I also am
because
like,
I did kind of like them all showing up.
Yeah,
it's sweet.
Yeah, it is sweet. But I also would like to see some like solo Batman stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
But we're getting that, I think, to some degree. That's really cool.
In a crazy ass costume.
Yeah, but I love the idea of Batman being like, I like, what have I done? Like, I've surrounded myself with children. Like, I'm like, yeah.
Do you know what's funny? When the hand comes to reveal,
yeah.
I thought we were going a very different way, and I was like, why would you do that?
Right.
Oh no, we're not doing that. Okay.
Oh, we're not. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for someone else.
No, exactly. But you should be reading this series.
But like, I seriously was like, wow. Okay.
Right?
No. Oh no, we're not. That's
no.
Not what it is.
Like, if you like Batman, you're gonna like this book. The Derpiest of Derps. Hey, was curious if you guys had watched any of the new season of Harley Quinn. Personally, I think it's not as good as the first 2 seasons. I watched the first episode of the new season just because I was not at home for a little while, and so I was like, fuck it, I'll just watch the first episode because I love that show and I love the first 2 seasons, and I'm like, well, the thing was, I was like, I'm clearly gonna watch it again.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like it very much. I thought it was fine.
I haven't seen any of it.
Yeah, not I thought it was fine, but like, it's just maybe the magic, maybe the fun of it is that like what they were working on. I mean, we were kind of like there when they were making that show. Not like that we were working on the show with them, but we were on the ground floor. We knew the people working on the show, and like seeing it in development and seeing it kind of like represent what the plan was for the DC app. There was a lot of excitement around it, and there was a lot of like subversion with that show. And I think just the first episode at least was like, oh, okay,
yeah.
It's about something, it's all right. Nuber 375. What do you think about the pistol retcon in Prey? There is no retcon. It's just what it is. It's really cool. But I also didn't want to spoil it for anybody. So, whatever. Devil's Advocate Productions. Y'all watch Sandman yet? I never read the books, but binged the show in 3 days. Loved it. Have a great evening. You too, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, we haven't watched the whole show.
Wait, I didn't even get you. Wait, this is really not a question for you.
It is not.
I'm sorry,
but I'm just giving a prelude.
No, I've. You're gonna ruin this monitor if you go after this fly. Just let the fly be.
Fine.
I honestly, that comment like breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I haven't read anything of it, and not even like and I plan to.
No.
Because I think this is one of those where the source material is definitely going to be worth it. I skimmed through some of it for a very specific reason, and just to get like a good baseline on it. So I can't say I've actually watched it. So I'll like take my version, like my review of it, my thoughts on it, my thoughts, not a review. It's my thoughts on it with a grain of salt because I haven't started from the get-go. There's definitely some things that are like straight up out of the comic, and I was like, this is really cool to see, but it does make the things that like Gaiman had to shift around, or he chose to shift around, that much more jarring for me.
Yes.
Like it seems like it's like basically a very similar story line, I like at its like basis of premises. Like here's the premise, okay, cool. But like everything that makes Sandman what Sandman isn't really just the premise. It's everything that is built.
It's the execution. It's the
house,
writing and the
house
art
of sand and mystery that is built atop it. But so I was surprised to see certain things shifted around, and I'm not talking about character genders or anything like that, folks. I'm talking about actual plot points. Okay,
right.
So don't even start with me. I'm talking about real things that I know happen in the comic a very specific way versus not seemingly happening that way in the show. And I do wonder, I know Neil made these decisions, and so for a lot of people it's like, that's it. If the creator says it, that's over. And like, I get you. But I'm also the type of person who believes that like once art's out there,
it belongs to everybody.
Yeah, just kind of let it go. And
it's the final word.
And yet, I will say I was the person who was happy to see that they had switched up Sweet Tooth.
Yeah.
But like I liked Lemire's reason for doing that.
Well, and I also didn't really like Sweet Tooth until I saw the show. So it's like, oh well, all right.
No, I mean like his reasoning for it was this, like he's like, that's not what the world needs right now. And I was like, that's really interesting. That's like a really interesting like interpretation of why you're doing that. Neil wants to do it because Neil wants to do it because Neil is an artist and he doesn't want to do the same thing now 3 times.
Yeah.
Because the audio drama is very much the comic.
Yeah.
So it's like he did that he had to write some stuff for it clearly to like fill in some like narratorial gaps.
Mhm.
But like that would be 3 times he had to do the exact same thing. So like
Yeah.
I'm sure for him he was like, I'm not doing that again. We're gonna change things.
Yeah.
Especially because it's like you're going from comic to show, so you have to change some things, much like they did in Paper Girls. Like you have to think about the medium that it's in, but there are like certain things that I just can't get over. And I'll be honest with you, the number one thing I cannot get over is Morpheus's look.
Yeah, Morpheus has such a distinct and iconic look that, like, to deviate from it, like to the point where people don't really like Daniel Hall because he's not Morpheus.
Right. And but like for me, it really comes down to like the eyes. And I know they were like, but he can't emote without the eyes.
These actors, man.
And it's like, no, that's what Gaiman said.
I know,
Gaiman
but
made
like,
a decision
but every
about that.
actor, every director is always like the actor's
But,
eyes,
like,
the windows to the soul.
If you read that comic, do you know how often it is mentioned what his eyes look like because of how important it is that like Morpheus is not meant to look like a man. Like he is a man. He's a man shape. And at times he does look like one based on the person who is viewing him based on their culture and background. But like, it's just like it's not enough for me when you see him because he just looks like a dude.
Right.
Like at the end of the
and
day,
he is played by one, but at the same time,
he
like
just looks like a really pretty dude.
Yeah, but like it's not 1998. Like we can use the very ubiquitous, inexpensive technology to augment that actor to make them into Morpheus.
Yeah,
and we didn't do that.
Yeah,
and that's a real shame.
Yeah, no, it is true. That for me is just that's the biggest, like one of my biggest like irks about it.
Right.
Other than that, like, and he's fine. Like I heard him like, deliver some of the lines. It's fine. Like I'm gonna guess certain things they had to change because I don't think they had the rights to certain characters. Possibly there's definitely a couple of changes in there that I'm like, are you doing this because you chose to do this, or are you doing this because like you're not allowed to use those characters in a property that is technically DC,
right?
Like it's this is Vertigo.
You had a point to make about that. Do you want to mention it now? Because you didn't do it on the show.
I don't remember what it was.
It was just that, like, boy, there's a whole app dedicated to Warner Brothers properties.
I know, but like clearly,
which I guess like good thing they didn't go with them.
I know, no, for sure. But I mean, this has clearly been in development for quite a while. But I'll be honest, after watching Peacemaker and seeing Doom Patrol, damn, do I wish that HBO, before having fallen apart, had the opportunity to actually make this show.
Right. Because HBO was also like a sign of quality, like not just HBO Max, but like HBO making that show. Because it's like, oh, it's owned by Warner Brothers. You could have used any and all of them. Yeah. You could have made it about, like, you could have had Sandman in it. You could have had Constantine show up.
Yeah.
You could have had that funeral scene.
Yeah. Exactly. But so I'm glad that people are watching it, and what I do hope is that it does make you go out and pick up the book. I saw somebody say, "Sorry, Tiff," but the art in the book just doesn't capture me. Look, I get it, man.
It was the same person who asked your question. But he also said that.
But the show did make you want to pick it up. But like, here's what like sad to me about that is that like I know art makes a big difference, but I feel like Gaiman's words are transcendental enough that like Sam Keith's art, his very specific style of art, should not have been the wall that kept you out, especially if you knew that like going forward he's only on for the first volume.
Right, like he leaves immediately, and
he leaves immediately. Like first volume happens and he's like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, and it never looks like that again. They don't even try to make it look like
not even close. Then Dringenberg comes on, and like that's when you get like
the
art that everyone thinks of when they think of Sandman, even though like many other artists would take on that book. But like, I'm really glad people are checking it out. And like, if that's what it takes, great. What I'm hoping doesn't happen is people go like, yeah, actually the comic isn't that great. It's like,
oh my God. Like, can you imagine? Well, here's the thing. We live in a world where like that's going to happen. That's going to happen.
It's going to happen just because people like to be contrarian.
Right.
That doesn't mean if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine.
It's just that we used to live in a world, and it's like, thanks to like the TikTokification of the world. We used to live in a world where someone would do that. The comic book fandom is like choked with contrarians, but it used to be someone would go, actually, Sandman is really overrated, and everyone in the room would go like, hey, you're a fucking idiot, and that would be the end of it. Well, and now it's like we have to whoa. Let's hear them out.
That's fair.
Every moron or crazy person has to get an equal footing and gets a platform.
I think everybody does have a right to be heard out.
I do not agree with that at all.
Opinion. But what I think is a shame is that people can't just say, I don't like it. They have to act like it's not as good.
No, I don't like it, and therefore
I have to make you feel bad about liking it. Right. And that's what I think is a real shame. So it's like, if you don't like it, you don't like it. That's fine. But like, It is Sandman.
Yeah, right.
It's won awards.
Yeah, well, one thing, well, it did change the comic book industry forever in a direction where if you were to have not had it, you wouldn't like comic books now.
Yeah. And I watched a good deal of the diner sequence, and like it's you know, it's
Good.
it's a totally different experience from reading it, and I'm not saying it's better or worse or anything, like it's just a very different experience to what's in the book in terms of like reading content like that versus like visually seeing like it acted out. Like I said, that particular issue or episode/issue, not one better or worse than the other necessarily.
No, I watched a clip from the show that showcased Death in action, like doing her thing in a sequence that I don't even remember if it's even
had a chance to
see Death.
Yeah,
I don't know if it is in the book. Like it's a sequence because I'm very familiar with a lot of like those death sequences because of how like iconic and important they are. But, like there's one sequence in which she comes to claim like a German musician, and it's really well made and it's a very good scene. And all I could think of was like, wouldn't this have been really cool if David Fincher had made this in 1995?
It would have had a really like yes and no, because they wouldn't have. That's the other thing though. Like they actually have the like ability now to create a lot of the effects that you would expect to see, which like it's just
there were no effects in the scene. It was actually like it was very grounded,
right? And I like that because there is something about that character, and so like that's like well thought out. Then that like Death has a much like
subtler presence,
a grasp of like humanity, and like spends a day 24 hours within them as a mortal. Like there's just something about her that's a little more grounded, so I do appreciate that. I haven't seen that sequence yet, but there are definitely some things that they change, and I'm really like I'm gonna have to like really pay attention to what is in season 1 but is technically volume 2 of the comic, because volume 2 of the comic, certain things happen there that then set up things to happen down the road, and either they're going to focus more heavily on things that happen in issue or volume 1. So I'm like, I'm very interested to see how they're going to get themselves out of what it seems like they might have set up.
Right.
And I'm like, but I again, admittedly speaking, I had to skim through it.
Yeah. William Gaza says, as a resident Image reader, I have a question for Tiffany. Have you read Bloodstained Teeth? I'm not the biggest vampire fiction fan, but this book is something else. Check it out. Yeah, you already did.
Yeah, I read the first issue of it. I liked it, but it didn't grab me. I might pick up the first volume.
There you go. Tubez the One, African Zande is out saving people from slave trade. Suddenly a predator shows up. It's killing colonizers, but their people could be next. I'd watch it. Yeah, I'd watch that in a heartbeat. Are you kidding me?
Yes.
Ray Farth, this is for Danielle. She's always funny and caring during Tiffany's streams. Everyone go support the channel on Twitch.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, the Twitch streams are great. Twitch.tv/ComicPop. Check them out. Andre F. Tiffany, I watched The Sandman and enjoyed it, but of course I had to rewatch her back issues episode for the umpteenth time. The way you describe every vignette, chef's kiss.
Oh, I thank you so much. Again, I am definitely going to be like in the like minority of people with this show, like where it's like I do wish it was a little seemingly more faithful in terms of like the way in which the story is structured,
right?
Or certain like again, it's just certain decisions they made about that, and like I think it's just I'm waiting.
Well, it's more people.
We'll have to wait to see if there's like interviews behind the scenes where it's like, oh, actually, we couldn't use this, and this. Which is a shame because it's like at the end of the day, like Neil created something incredible and like completely like his own, right? But like he did so at the request of DC to do something with a specific character name,
right?
And so it is theirs, but it is his. Like it's his love and his sweat and his tears and all of that behind it.
Well, it's also like there's fewer people involved in making the comic book, so you are hearing a more clear voice and you're watching a true collaboration between the artist and writer.
Yeah.
And with a television show movie, you're talking about thousands of people involved in this production, including like multiple people who are both creative and uncreative, who fancy themselves creative. And so you're going to see like the result of, of a greater collaboration with more people, which will inevitably dilute the voice.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that. I mean, like, it's funny because, like, of course, Neil worked with Karen Berger like very like closely to develop this project or to develop Sandman, the original comic.
Yep.
And I was just reading some interviews with them where like they were specifically talking about the Doll's House, which is so the show covers Preludes and Nocturnes and the Doll's House. And unless Calliope's in there at the end, which I think she's cast, but I didn't get that far.
Yeah.
Then we may not get into Dream Country. But that like he wanted to, like, Neil did a lot of research to make the Doll's House happen.
Yeah.
In a time when that wasn't like feasible.
Right.
But like he wanted to add all these additional things in there, and he wanted to have like a character within there talk specifically about certain sexual acts, and like in particular like masturbation, in terms of like saying it with like complete conviction, like I did this and this and this, and then eventually as you like listen and read through it, you realize he's actually talking about murder. Like we've shifted from that to make murder.
Yeah.
Right. And so he writes in the script, and he gets a call from her that says like, she basically goes like, people in the DC universe don't masturbate.
Right. Now,
So
I don't know if
it's
that
like,
was like a director from on high, which sounds like a friggin',
it
sounds
like them 100%.
Yeah.
But like for me, like that's the type of like,
that sounds like a Paul Levitz note.
right. But that's like that, I hope like helps to understand, like, while Neil had total freedom and was able to do what he wanted to, he still worked for
A company.
for DC. So like that's why I think now he's like, okay, first of all, I really can't use some of these characters.
Yeah,
Second of all,
but
now I can tell my version of the story.
and I'm in charge now.
Yeah.
Like, I have a show. Remember
But
Good Omens? I
he-
produced that
He's
show.
also like, there's a really big difference between the amount of time between when Jeff Lemire wrote Sweet Tooth and when it was produced, and when
Neil Gaiman wrote the Sandman.
and when it was produced. He's a totally different person if you think about it.
Yeah.
We were a different person than we were like from yesterday,
Right.
just by time passing.
Yeah.
So he's just in a very different place.
Right.
So I like I said, I'm gonna watch it because I'm curious.
Sure. Prylos 97, off the rack, more like off the chain. Great show, guys. Excited to read Sandman for myself in the near future.
Hooray!
Nice. And thank you very much for your hilarious reference. Thorn Identity, Sal's my geek outrage translator. Fair enough, man. Thank you. I'm, I do try to like tone it down, because I do realize like, my outrage is about like inconsequentials. But thank you very much. Ricardo Perez, thank you very much for your super sticker. I'm sorry I can't see it. I'm sure it's hilarious.
It's a
It's a pear who's a superhero. I love it. Thank you. Thank you very much for your support, man. Talali House, we need Tiff and Sal origin story. Just saying. We've shared that story before, and we will do that more in the future. But for now, we got to get into comic books again.
we are so far off the beaten path at this point.
So what do you got, Tiffany?
Okay. I opened up the chat again.
Yeah.
Sorry, everybody. I also read Immortal X-Men this week.
Naturally.
And that is written, of course, by Kieran Gillen with art by Michelle Bandini.
Yep.
And this one does tie into Judgment Day.
Well, it's got the logo on it.
Yeah. And it deals with the Krakoa side of it, as like the shit hits the fan, like as the Unimind shows up and like attacks them on a psychic plane, essentially. We're dealing with that, but it's really an Exodus heavy issue.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is honestly a lot of fun. You get like some backstory about Exodus. You meet, like him with Apocalypse, and like him with Magneto, and like now him with like, his Messiah is Hope.
Yes.
Right now.
Yes. Even though he found out like he'd be more powerful if he were a Messiah.
Yeah, but he still believes in her, and like, part of it is because like of a vision he had in the desert, in which like he saw like a fiery bird.
Oh, Phoenix.
Yeah. So like I think it's tying into the
because Phoenix is a member of the Avengers now.
So it's all tying into things, right? So anyway.
Good.
Yeah, so we just see Exodus get to like kick ass, take names, and like help to fight on like the psychic plane. Hope is saved by Wolverine.
Cool.
Who shows up and is like, hey, everybody's like been paralyzed like on the psychic plane, essentially.
Yeah.
In the meeting. So like Wolverine shakes everybody out of it, and then Emma, Hope, and Exodus like take to the offensive.
Cool. Okay.
But it's neat because like he thinks of himself obviously as a knight, and so like he like the other like eternal minds are viewed as like dragons.
Yes.
And so he's just like, I'm a knight, so you know what I must do. So it's fun. Like it's a fun little like hey, remember Exodus is part of like all of this, and we really haven't done a whole lot with him other than have him be the person who was like telling stories about Wanda, the betrayer, and like, the pretender, like, or the boogeyman.
Yeah, it was both. It was all those things.
So like they're like, let's talk a little more about Exodus. Like we got some steam going with that. So
right.
Especially when you have to deal with the fact that like obviously Gillen is teasing that they're going to create a god in the Celestial. So like you're going to want to have a character like Exodus there to be like, what?
Yeah. Do I worship this now?
So
yeah.
I get it, Gillen. I get where you're going with this one. Maybe.
Catler will defend for treats. My dumb pitch. Back issues, but Predator shows up, gets decked by Tiffany, and then Ben stomps her for 3 hours. That would make for a great Predator movie. I would like to see that.
Yeah.
I would certainly like to do that. I would love to have a Predator show up. I don't think I can afford the licensing rights, unfortunately.
Right.
What else you got, Tiffany?
So the biggest thing for me this week,
Oh, yes.
which like I shouldn't have read this one first. At the end
All
of the
other
day-
books pale in comparison.
At the end of the day, I read X-Men Red #5 first, which again, I want to fully admit that like issue 1 and 2, I was ready to quit this book, but like
I remember when we were recommending these books
yeah,
last week, and I said, "Hey, don't forget X-Men Red," and you
Yeah.
were like, "Yeah."
no, I wasn't.
You
No,
liked
no,
that
no,
cover too.
No. I came around on X-Men Red. I
Yeah.
did before this because like I was
Well, issue 3.
yes, when Magneto like really came into the like hi, I'm going to be in this book. Yeah, like that really like pulled me around, and I gotta tell you, I think issue 5 is the best issue yet.
Okay.
Personally,
Okay.
written by Al Ewing with art by Stefano Caselli. Damn, listen, I love the fact that I know that Ewing and Gillen talked beforehand
Right.
about this because of what he was going to do to Arakko, right? Having Uranus show up and basically wage war on them for an hour.
Yeah.
He was given 1 hour before he'd be pulled back.
That's right.
So I knew that like Ewing specifically asked for one thing. He's like, hey, I want to make sure that you leave, like Uranus leaves, but like leave some stuff behind because I need them to be able to do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he was like, fine, but like communication.
Right.
Right. So thus making this like, yes, it's a tie-in, but it's also just a really well-written book. It's the difference between the writer who wants to be pulled into or doesn't mind being pulled into an event and the writer who's like, I really don't want to be a part of this event. Right.
Yeah.
So it's like this right here. It's on display. Like
Ewing doesn't want to be here.
Ewing does want to be here.
Oh, he does.
And Ewing is doing it up. Like
okay.
he took this and ran with it because we basically have, it's the Great Ring. You're just pissing it off. Let it be.
It just wants to get in your face.
We're in the Great Ring on Arakko. It kind of leaves off where we left off last time, where Storm has left to go to Krakoa.
Yes.
To make a case. And Cable and Abigail Brand are there, and Magneto, and they're like, "Hey, war's coming."
Right.
War be coming. And in the bottom corner, we see T-1 minute, and then like every panel is like ticking down in time.
I guess until Uranus shows up.
And so like Iska's there and like she's giving Aurora a hard time for not being there. But like they're like, okay, so we need to do this, and like they're like Cable's like strategizing. He's like, here's what's probably gonna happen. They're going to probably attack psychically down on Krakoa potentially.
Yeah.
And then up here, there'll be no holds bar because it won't matter.
Right.
Because they don't care for up here.
Yeah.
It's not Earth, right?
Right.
But they don't really have time to really get into it because T-0 occurs.
Oh no.
And there's a huge flash of light. And they're like, okay, like Iska, get ready because you'll have to go first since you're the unbeaten.
Yeah.
And that's when they look over and she's beheaded one of the people on the Great Ring.
Okay.
Because Iska has changed sides.
Oh.
I was like, because that's what Iska be doing.
Yeah.
Iska can't help.
She's
but
like,
be
well,
herself.
I can't be, I can't lose, and I will.
Iska's powers are just being a total asshole and like not like your backup.
No.
Like she's the person you're like, you got my back, right? And she's just
As long as you were inevitably designed
gone.
to win. Yeah.
Just gone. So Uranus does show up and is like, I have 1 hour to correct you. Iska takes off. Nightcrawler's like, screw you, and he goes after her.
Okay.
What follows is some just stellar comic book writing. Each panel describes to you like different areas of Arakko and the space above Arakko, and that like it always says something about like, you know, we're in this area and the air shimmers, and this happens and the air shimmers. Till eventually it just says the air shimmers, the air shimmers, the air shimmers, because like what Druig has done has released Uranus's armory.
Okay.
And so all these things are just showing up to like wage war on Arakko.
Yeah.
All at once,
including
the ships that Brand has.
Oh, geez.
Floating around. So, Nightcrawler attempts to go after Iska, but that clearly he's not going to win that. And everyone else like dives in to try to stop Uranus.
Yeah.
The Aura Cerata gets punched in her eye.
Oh no.
So she goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Legion shows up.
Okay. Cool.
And he's like outside. I love that. He's like, we got to take this. No, we're not destroying down here.
Right.
Because like he's like, I'm gonna win, and Uranus is like, you look interesting, and so they fly up, and Magneto's like, okay, we got to figure this one out.
Right.
So a few of the other Araco individuals go to try to like help other areas. Magneto's like, I will attempt to, like, we're gonna buy you time as much as we can, right? Remember in New Mutants when they were like creating those like combo powers kind of thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like there's a mutant there who's called Lotus Logos. He can create metal basically out of his mouth. So he's just feeding Magneto while Cable is hitting them with like psionic abilities.
Okay.
So they're like encasing Uranus in this, trying to like hold him down, right? I freaking adore this panel because Richard Rider was there because he was part of the Brotherhood.
Right.
The Brotherhood have jumped in. They're doing their thing. We are counting up now, so it's T+.
Yes.
So we're T+, we're at 10 minutes only.
Okay.
Above, all of this, there's a fight breakdown. Nova is there. He fights to protect the civilians from dozens of worlds as they evacuate. It's all up to me, he thinks. He thinks that too often. Alone, he holds the line. And I'm like, it's...
Yay, good for you, Rich.
Right? Like, I love that. I'm like, yay. Ewing's like, yeah, no, he can do it.
Yeah.
Iska ends up in like the sea, and so like the mutant who controls that is like throwing every sea creature they can at her.
Yeah.
But like it doesn't matter.
Right.
Uranus is like slowed down, but like he can't be held. So at about like 13 minutes, he breaks off, and then he punches his fist through Magneto's chest.
Oh.
And I love this because it just says T+ 1323, Magneto falls.
Right.
And I'm like, that's dope.
Yeah.
Cable pulls out basically what is the BFG, and essentially it's like,
he's always got a BFG.
He just shoots the hell out of him. It like weakens him, but then eventually jams, and then
that's the end of it.
But Uranus's power doesn't.
Right.
Several mutants. There's what is their name? Xylo, who's like a series of insects and whatever. Breaks apart in order to attempt to take him down because like they can scour a human body to bone in seconds.
Okay.
But Uranus, it just disgusts him. It's really sad because they die, and what it says is millennia of eyewitness history lost forever.
Oh,
I was like, that sucks, right?
Yeah.
Rand is taken down as she attempts to avoid the resurrection protocol,
right?
Which I think is fair, since what she be doing.
Yeah.
We see that in the spaceport. Are like people who from Araco and the aliens vendors who are there are just they've joined in. They're just fighting whatever is coming at them because it's a variety of things.
Yeah,
it's robots, it's whatever. Like it's all kinds of things are showing up to kill these people. Something that looks like Ed 209's. The Fisher King feels that night has fallen and like things have changed. Like it is time, but we don't see anything from that. I'm like, okay, what's going on there? And then at about 20 minutes in, he's destroyed the Great Ring. And so for the rest of his 40 minutes, he takes all the bones and he makes the big X.
Oh.
That we saw in Judgment Day. Uranus crafted that with the time he had left.
Okay.
Because of how destructive he was, right? He doesn't check anything and he just leaves after 60 seconds. And that's when it's revealed that Xylo kept Lotus Logos, the like metal spewing Iraqi, like safe by hiding his like body.
Okay.
And so he comes back and he's like, okay, we gotta like, I don't know, like the eyeball Aura is like still alive, but like beaten. So like they're going to need her to regenerate because her powers might be useful against him, given the opportunity to actually do something. He's like, we gotta fall back. We need to like strategize. A lot of the other Iraqi mutants have made like strategic fallbacks because like there's nothing they can do. And and they try to convince themselves that this is in like, it's not a loss of the battle. It's a loss of like field.
Yeah.
But that's when like Lotus hears behind him someone talking and says like, this war is like, we're losing this war. And when he turns around, it's Magneto who's using his magnetic abilities to basically
like hold himself
together.
That's
and
awesome.
like, I guess move the blood in his system around since his part is gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, when I saw that panel, I was like, this is just Al Ewing wanting to write a Magneto book.
Right. She should.
I'm fine with this.
Right.
I'm fine with this. I want to see like Al Ewing take the opportunity to like take characters like Magneto and Storm and Cable and all of them and like let them just have a badass moment on this planet.
Just have at it.
Just fighting shit. I'm down.
I love it. Oh. Yeah, I've heard. I didn't hear anything about it. I just heard people's like
Reaction.
reaction.
It's so good.
Yeah. William Gaza says, "Don't want to pry, but they're so amazing. I have to ask if are there any creator interviews coming in the future for ComicPop Returns? Not at the moment, but never say never. We know, we haven't set anything up,
Yeah.
because I haven't had a chance to actually have a minute to like talk to anybody
Mhm.
about doing this.
Yeah.
Talali House, I feel like nothing should be brought down. We should have brought down the mutants.
Don't forget they're Eternals. They have like their own like set of powers and their own ability to be resurrected fairly quickly. And
Mhm.
like it's not all the Eternals. It's just Druig utilizing the Unimind, which is quite a powerful device that they have
Yeah.
access to. So we'll see. And they were also kind of caught off guard.
Yeah.
They knew it could be that day, but like everyone was caught off guard significantly. Will this happen again? I don't think the Eternals will have an opportunity like that again.
That's true. Kozin, maybe not the license, but a green screen suit, a distortion or glowy eyes effect, and clicky sounds. Love the skits, especially the Terminator Halloween. Yeah, that was great.
For our Predator, we could.
I know, yeah. That's how we can get the Predator in there. Yeah, I mean, like, there's opportunities here.
Yeah.
So yeah, I read Flashpoint Beyond #4, and as a result, I also read Flashpoint Beyond 3 and 4, like 2, 3, and 4, because I was like, yeah.
Were you behind a little?
Yeah, very.
Okay.
I read the first 2, and then I forgot what happened in 2, so I went back and read 2, 3, and 4. This issue it sets up where like the Superman of the Flashpoint universe encounters Batman of this universe, and basically forces Batman of the Flashpoint universe to like work with him. It's Jeff Johns. It's crap. Who made this? Jeff Johns and Jeremy Adams and Mikhail Yanin did and Zermanico.
Mhm.
This is this is Jeff Johns' like event, right?
Mhm.
And it is about how like the Flashpoint universe continued, and how the Batman of the Flashpoint universe is the same Flashpoint Batman that was in the Tom King run, and he was sent back to his old original reality, and he's like, this reality sucks, and it's not real, and it shouldn't happen, and he's trying to solve this mystery because he's just basically like, okay, well then I'll just get a speedster to like fix this universe and get me the hell out of here, because this universe shouldn't exist, and nothing matters. That's his whole thing. This is like the indication that there is something else, a clockmaker, if you will, like who is at the heart of this mystery, who is murdering speedsters or people who would eventually become speedsters throughout the Flashpoint universe, and or Earth in the Flashpoint universe, which includes characters like Barry Allen and any other speedster, Wally West or Eobard Thawne. And it turns out Eobard Thawne is like zipping around in this reality and shouldn't be here, and he is murdered and left for the police, and Batman is like at the epicenter. Meanwhile, the Flashpoint Dent, who is the would-be Two-Face of the Flashpoint universe, her son is like left in the care of Thomas Wayne and his butler Oswald Cobblepot, and he's been like trained by Cobblepot to like shoot and do all this stuff, like because the kid because Thomas Wayne couldn't care less, because he's like, this reality is nothing matters here. This shouldn't exist.
Right.
So he's just going through this whole like, so I have this amount of time to solve this mystery. Meanwhile, on the other end, in the DC universe, Batman is screwing around with time. He's stealing shit from like Rip Hunter and the Time Lords and stuff to solve his own mystery, which is also pissing off the people who are the Guardians of the Sacred Timeline or whatever. And that's fun. And it's just like, and for the last 3 issues, it's been in direct contrast to Dark Crisis.
Right.
It's like John's doing his event, Williamson is doing his event, and they do that. Like, and you're just like, okay, whatever. Right? This issue 4, talks about the Dark Crisis and talks about the Great Darkness.
What?
And talks about Pariah souping up the villains and how all that got wrapped up.
What?
Jeff Johns just spoiled and ended Dark Crisis. This is taking place after Dark Crisis.
What?
Yeah. This issue was just like, oh, no. This is all part of the same DC universe, but fuck Dark Crisis.
Oh,
so
that's poor form.
Yeah. So that happened in that issue. I should also frustratingly admit, this is awesome. This issue, or like this book, may not read great month to month or week to week, but when you read it all in one sitting, it blends together very well. If you enjoy Jeff Johns' events, you'll like this. because there is a mystery afoot and the characters are all consistent and interesting, and this expands the Flashpoint universe a little further than we had previously seen. And like many of you, but I don't give a shit about the Flashpoint universe, but like the way that they're setting it up, where it's like, no, everything matters. Like, no, like Batman may be operating like this is a fake reality that shouldn't exist. The people who live there beg to differ.
Right.
Like, I live here. I don't know about a multiverse. I just know I live here, and you're acting like an asshole.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really like interesting and frustrating. But I don't know what kind of like role Johns is going to play in the future. I don't know if like he is, but he is definitely setting something up for the DC universe. He definitely wants to say something about like what DC is and where it's going, and set up a greater mystery. But the fact that it's only 6 issues suggests that like maybe DC like is like, well, just wrap it up.
Well, I gotta say, hey, scroll up a little bit. Just some guy with a mustache, go a little further, had a really good point.
Yeah, he did to DC what DC did to Doomsday Clock. That's exactly what he did.
It's like he's like,
yeah, no, he's like, oh yeah, well, bite me. You're still paying me, and I'm still writing these things, and you still want me to write like big things. Care
enough to like be like, don't do that.
There's nobody upstairs. There's no editors upstairs who are like, hey, poor Marie Javin's just trying to keep the goddamn house from burning down.
Yeah.
And the rest, and then there's nobody else.
Damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
Even if I'm not a huge Dark Crisis fan, that's not right.
No, I agree. But the other thing that sucks is that it's really good. Like, I'm really enjoying Flashpoint Beyond.
Oh no.
And it's well written, and it's got great art, and it's interesting, and the mystery is like fascinating, and the way it's orchestrated, like it's a well orchestrated. He's a good writer, so it's like, okay, cool, So I don't know, like I guess you can pick one or the other, but like I would keep reading.
I tried.
I know. Just some guy with a mustache says the Eternals aren't so tough. If they can bleed, we can kill them.
That's right.
That's right.
And they can.
And they can, and they do. Infamous Jedi. And another thing about the attack on Araco is that none of the council members are allowed to resurrect because it's seen as cowardly.
Yes. So presumably any of them who died, they're not coming to come back. Like none of the Iraqis will accept resurrection because they don't believe in it. And like that was my big concern, was that like technically Storm and Magneto gave up their resurrection protocol.
Right, but like Xavier doesn't care.
Yeah, but Magneto pulled himself together.
Right.
So I'm like,
yeah.
Damn.
Well, he's gonna have to go to like the House of Healing or some shit. I don't know.
They have them on both places.
Yeah. And then there's Dark Crisis number 3, which is of course written by Josh Williamson with art by Daniel Sampere. Yeah. So, and now, by the way, in the fallout of the oh no, in the fallout of San Diego Comic-Con, of course, this is not called Dark Crisis anymore. This is called Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So it's like meant to be a direct sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths, which they all are. So whatever, okay. But yeah, in this one we see Green Lantern, like he's like, okay, well, if there is a Dark Army out there, if they did kill the Justice League, I'll just send the entire Corps and we'll just fuck them up. So he goes and he ends up getting Crisis and then sent to the Elseworld that Jon Stewart presumably should be on. But he's not there. He's instead the Sector itself. That's kind of interesting. But like, yeah, Al arrives, no ring, but he's in like, he's basically like on Oa, essentially. And he's met by 3 interesting looking Green Lanterns, and they mentioned they are the Green Lanterns of Sector Jon Stewart. He's like, what the hell does that mean? And I'm like, I would like to know that myself. We see that Deathstroke is basically like declaring war on sidekicks and young heroes and sends everyone out after them. We see like actually a little like assortment of characters maybe you forgot about, or maybe you were sad that people forgot about, like Sideways is in the book for a minute.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Hey, look at Sideways. We also see that like they reference that Awful Young Justice series that's also a tie-in.
They directly reference it and tell you where you can read more about it.
You can read more about it. Check it out. Obviously, it's on sale now. Pass. And but yeah. Let's see. It's just like it's continuing the story, and it's giving you like there's a lot of players, and obviously, as Tiffany's pointed out, there's no protagonist. So like we don't know, like we have no guiding like direction.
Maybe we're the protagonist,
right? Because we're the reader. Now that was in Infinite Frontier. That was the meta book where it's like you're the main character.
Oh, that was the meta book, not this.
This is not really a meta book. This is like it's kind of trying to be, but it's also not like it's not Grant Morrisonian in theme. It's not like you like it's not trying to do that.
This is a meta book.
Yeah, but not like in the same way.
Okay.
But yeah, we see that Black Adam like has a hissy fit and leaves, and I'm like, yep, that's Black Adam. Thank you for writing him consistently. And Black Adam just bails on the Justice League because they're stupid and lame and stupid, and they don't know what they're doing. And we see that like the implication that 5G / future state, the future of the Justice League was going to be Yara Flor, Superman, John Kent, Jace Fox, Batman, all that stuff. Then we see like, no, that's not the case. It's actually this team. And then they went, nah. And then they showed up anyway and became the Justice League. So we're seeing that Black Adam doesn't believe in them and doesn't believe that like they can stop them. They're the Great Darkness and the Dark Army. So he goes to meet with the Legion of Doom, which I thought was a great idea. For it's a great motivation for Black Adam. It's a great setup for the Legion of Doom. I also liked the Legion of Doom that we see in this issue because like Joker's not in there. It's Punchline. I was like, oh, interesting. Like, I don't like Punchline, but I like that she's in the Legion of Doom. Like,
Sure.
what does that mean? But that the Legion of Doom is gonna like get involved. And that's cool. We see the Deathstroke has like other schemes going on. Like he's being influenced by presumably the Great Darkness or Pariah or whatever to try and kickstart the crisis. But he's also not interested in murdering anybody. But also he's like he's going off book. He's triggering. I can trigger the crisis another way, and so he's working on that.
Wait, who did you say was doing that? I'm sorry.
Deathstroke.
Yeah, I guess.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else that of note that took place. We don't see any check in with Pariah.
No, we do.
Well, besides the fact that he crises Hal.
Yeah, but like he like talks about his plans and.
Yeah, but they're the same plans as the last two issues.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing new. We don't get new information.
No.
And we see that the Justice League is like doing their thing.
I did get new information because like I didn't realize how meta this was.
Yeah.
I hate this thing.
Yeah, I know.
No one in the audio version of this can see this fly. Anyway, there's just nothing we can do about it.
Anyway, so yeah, it's this issue in particular. I enjoyed it. It didn't have the same like weight as issue 2, where it was like we're gonna watch like this confrontation. We're gonna see these epic battles and set this up. It did have like the promise of the Green Lantern Corps being like, okay, cracks knuckles, let's solve this problem.
Yes and no, because like he wants them there just because they're dealing. He's like, we're dealing with Necron,
right? And that was kind of fun to see.
Sure,
I forgot about that. Like that they're like, oh crap, Necron is part of the Dark Army.
Like, I only want you here because I'm gonna go in and take care of it. You wait out here.
Yeah.
You guard the base.
You guard the base. Entire Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, he just takes Kyle and Far Sector with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe.
I'm like, okay. No, this issue still did not sway me.
No.
At all.
I would not expect it. I don't think it's going to.
This is not the issue that would sway me. This is the issue that's like said to me, like, wait, are you trying to do like a meta thing where you're talking about how you can't force a crisis, DC? Like, is that what you're trying to do here?
Yeah.
Like, go like, hey, you're not like, you can't just make a crisis happen.
Well, yeah.
It's not how it works. Except it is because you're all writers.
Well, because you're doing it right now and I'm reading the book.
Yes.
But yeah.
But like, there's also just like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just like my own like not wanting to deal with crises coloring this opinion. But the fact is, like, it's on my head, isn't it? The fact is, it's like there's just something about the fact that we all know the Justice League is coming back.
Yes.
Right. And it's like so painfully obvious. And that happens all the time in books, right? But there's something about it this time around that I'm just like, every character's motivation is to get the Justice League back that we all know are going to come back.
Yes.
Or like they're like,
or the characters are like, they're never coming back.
They're never coming back. My entire reason for being is that they're never coming back. And I have to make this team that's just not going to matter in like issues.
And
I'm like, there's just something about this that I'm just like, I just skip to the end.
Right. Yeah. You're ready for it to be over and it doesn't really matter.
Because I'm like, yes. Okay, cool. Whatever.
I didn't get it. Just hit you instead.
we need Ben Spider.
Yeah. Yeah, which is definitely alive.
Definitely alive. But you know what I mean?
I know what you mean,
Like,
and
I can't tell if it's just I'm just so sick of crises that I can't help but read it this way. But like I'm like Black Adam's like they're dead.
I know
They're dead, and you guys gotta like learn to listen to me, and I'm gonna go join the Legion of Doom.
I think that's just because
they're
like
so dead. And
the problem for me is like, well, yeah, okay, go ahead.
like I get it, like that is something of his character. But
Yeah.
I'm like his entire motivation is you're wrong.
Right, but he's
like,
wrong.
But like everybody is wrong too.
Yes, everyone is wrong. Yeah. Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
They're all gonna come back, and it's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah, we need.
Like we're not even playing like because I'm gonna guess because they wanted to have these stupid tie-ins. Like we're not even playing around with the idea that they're gone.
No, we're not.
And like maybe they thought that was gonna be more clever than just killing them off again. And I'm like, I guess I appreciate that, but
Yeah.
like your entire like rest of your cast
thinks they're dead.
Is like hinged completely on the fact that they are convinced these guys are dead.
Except for Hal. Hal doesn't believe they're dead.
Except for Hal.
Who is now stuck with them.
Who's now stuck with them. And Pariah's just like, yeah, no, the only way that I can get what I want is to do this thing that is clearly just War of the Gods.
Right.
Because like, the Great Darkness thinks they want this. Like, they want to end everything, but actually, I have total control over this, and I will totally not let that happen. Just like Hecate totally wants to like
reboot the universe,
reboot all of this, so that like this like
so she's the god,
so that she's in charge of everything. But like, even though we know that won't work, but don't worry, like I, Cersei, totally know that I can make that not happen.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it is basically, that inherent premise is definitely echoed.
And I get it because like it's paying homage. I get why some people like this because like you're getting like that Crisis feel because it's like, look at all these characters together, like working together or not working together. Like there's like,
I don't know if that's true. I don't
this book is all about destroying hope, right?
Is it? No, I don't think it is.
That's what
the villains want.
That's what the villains want. The villains want to destroy hope, and so far they're doing it, which means at the end of this, they are going to hope and Care Bear stare the problem away.
Scott Snyder did that 5 times.
But you had a problem with it each time it happened.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, we can't let him get away with it, but we can't let Josh have it. Like,
I didn't let him get away with it.
I know. No, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Okay.
Like, I don't think
I hope not.
That like everyone's going to lose.
Hold hands and Care Bear stares that end away.
Right. I don't think that like because it's nothing like that sequence when the Earth became a White Lantern or like when they made everyone on planet Earth choose hope or doom and they picked doom or they picked hope. Like that's no, that is not what's happening here. We are not going to get that again. That is what Scott does. That is not what this is.
But like your entire so either what you're doing is a meta deep dive, the likes of which we are not prepared for.
That is exactly what this is.
Where like what you're trying to do is be like, no, Scott.
Right.
You can't just hope and like pray all your stuff away, nor can you force a crisis.
Right. That's exactly what this is. This is you can't force a crisis. I think that's what the lesson is.
But that's not.
But it is a crisis, and we are forcing it to happen. And the thing is, the reason why I have no fundamental problem with it is because the execution is not inherently betraying anything that is that is part of the DNA of this universe.
I'm not sure what I'm not sure if and I'm not like trying to be a dick about this. I don't know if I understand what it is about the execution that you like specifically what it is. Like, I don't know if I have a grasp on that.
Right. Well, it's not really a story. There is no main character. There is no main bad guy. Like Pariah is they want Pariah to be the villain, but he's not, because we know that Pariah is more complicated than just being a villain. We don't meet the Great Darkness. We don't know that that's a person.
That is an insult to give that man that much depth.
Right.
He is literally this shallow.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's it. That's the depth he has.
But so is the Joker. Like every villain has that little depth in a comic
on who's
book.
writing him. You know what I mean?
Right. But Pariah doesn't deserve any more depth.
Pariah is a vehicle right now. He is a vehicle to make this happen.
Yeah.
Right. But there is a villain. It's this darkness. The darkness is like is the conflict. The darkness is the catalyst that makes the story happen. Pariah is the conduit through which the catalyst affects the
universe.
I
It's just that there's no protagonist. The problem is there's no main
I
character.
think that the darkness is the antagonist.
I think the darkness will become the antagonist, like friggin'
much like Cersei and Hecate were the antagonists.
Yeah, I guess. Well, that's true.
But there was other conflict going on.
Right.
Like,
yeah, but Hecate, but the Great Darkness doesn't have any lines. The Great Darkness doesn't have any motivation that I can see.
Hecate doesn't have lines until the end.
Exactly. Well, that's fine.
His motivation is to bring an end to the
universe. What does that mean? Like, it doesn't mean anything.
Lots of people have that motivation.
I know, but it's lame. Like, but that's duh. Like, sure, okay, fine. That it's Tuesday, you know?
Yeah.
But my problem is there's no focal point through which we can like watch this story happen. It's happening. And the story is happening to the DC universe. And I think it's kind of impressive that like this is a story with no main character, and yet I think it's still kind of working. And I'm like, that's kind of amazing. But it also
wants to have a main character.
Does it? Because no one's emerging.
Well, because it keep like we're
the only one we keep checking in on is Deathstroke.
Well, I was gonna say we keep checking in on John and we keep checking in on Nightwing.
Right, but they're not doing anything.
Not yet.
All they are doing is reacting. They don't affect the plot. They don't affect the story.
Black Adam is.
Black Adam and Deathstroke are more of the main characters than anyone else in this book.
Right.
Which they are not. They are not the main characters. Right?
Yeah.
But this is affecting the DC universe in a way where we are watching outside forces affect the universe and the characters within it, and watching the characters react like in any crisis / major event.
Sure.
And the setup for this all had main characters that also earned this threat. Like this threat deserves to be here and also works if you've read everything else. But this doesn't give you the benefit of like a main character or any good solid footing for this being read separately. Like you can't read Dark Crisis in a vacuum.
See, I think that's where like you
think
and
it's a fail.
I think that's where you think my issue is.
No, I'm just saying that's my problem with the book.
Oh, that's fair. For me, it's just the overwhelming sensation that it doesn't matter.
Well, it doesn't.
And like there are people in the chat explaining that like it's not if it's just just like if it wasn't about the journey, just publish the end. It's like if you know anything about me, first of all, shame on you for thinking that I'm not the person who's always like it's about the journey.
Right.
I'm literally just told you to read all like 10 volumes of Sandman, which is literally like even the ones that you don't think matter.
Yeah.
Even Dream Country, read it because it's a good time and had by all. There's something about this book.
Right.
The way it is put together that makes me feel like things that happen within its pages don't matter.
Yeah.
And I hate that.
No, I agree.
Because like I think that Joshua Williamson is a better writer than that.
He's a great writer.
And I know that he has passion for this. And so I feel like a real asshole coming out here being like, Josh, I don't like it, but I don't like it.
Yeah,
and
I
know. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I legitimately hope that by the end of this, I'm like, you know what? The ends justify the means.
Right.
And I can eat my freaking words right here. And like I would be happy to do that. But right now it's just like, I mean, I know they're coming back. These guys are all freaking out. Whatever. Like maybe there's going to be some freaking turn.
Yeah.
Like in the next few issues.
There won't be. But like the problem is for me, not the problem. This is both the biggest story possible and also a smaller story. Like the stakes are that the Justice League are dead, which like for real, like that's not like we just saw the universe die. We just saw like the Batman Who Laughs become God. Like we just watched all this other stuff. Like the Justice League isn't here. We just had like that funeral where we saw like a gazillion superheroes. Like I guess we'll be fine. But then I guess the lesson is, like John tries to make a Justice League and it fails immediately because it's like you can't just make a Justice League. Like you need a Justice League. And like maybe that's the lesson. But also the lesson is about like continuity and story and how that matters. But also the lesson is about how like this other thing. So there's a lot. It's trying to do a lot of things that no one asked it to do.
Right. And like I have no problem with that. I love a story with subtext. I absolutely adore that. But like I didn't feel that subtext until issue 3, and that's where I'm
that happens a lot. I'll give him that.
I won't give him that because like if that's secretly what your story's about, that needed to be peppered in a little earlier for me. And if you're telling me I needed to do an entire other reading for that, then that needed to be part of the event.
Well, I agree with that too. But like that's just a complaint that I have across the board for events and tie-ins. I'm just saying that like because I did read Infinite Frontier and I did like it and it did set up all this crap, it does inform this. Yeah. But usually this kind of thing has like a character or characters through which we can like follow the story and we can like feel the stakes. Like if the whole thing was about Nightwing and it was Nightwing interpretation, he's like, I've been 25 for 40 years, you know, and like that was the story, you know, it's like, and now another crisis, and like, you know, sometimes I get rebooted and sometimes I don't, and like I gotta deal with this, and you know, Batman's dead for the umpteenth time and I don't believe it, but also I have to live with it.
But in
and
every version of it, my ass is spectacular.
Well, yeah, naturally.
That's the one constant of the DC universe.
You know, or if the whole thing was about Hal and how he's like, like one time, like I was the reason the crisis happened, and now I have to be the hero of the crisis. Like that's a problem. Like if any of that were the thing, I think I'd have a lot. Like I think you might have less of a hard time because you're focusing on a journey for a person, as opposed to like watching stuff happen to a universe and watching random characters all react to it.
Now, here's the thing: like, if I felt like things were happening to the universe, that would be one thing,
right?
It's
but
just,
like
right
nothing's
now,
happening.
Right now, everything is just character driven, but not
enough.
It's just like it's like a mob.
Yeah,
character driven.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
as opposed, but just like and like.
It's disorienting because there's no through line.
But like for right now, like again, probably because I didn't do the other reading, like it doesn't feel like anything's happening to the universe.
Well, it's not.
It's trying to.
It's because, and I think that's what it's about, right? Like it's about like how you can't force a crisis. You can't just make the universe reboot.
This issue is the last two issues made it seem like it was about like, you know, like,
yeah, it was what?
What about like either about
Deathstroke,
about legacy,
yeah.
Or like, you know, like
it's still about that.
Yeah, it is, I guess, but not really.
Well, this issue isn't necessarily, but like I think the theme is still about legacy and about like what the general nature of the DC universe should be. But this issue in particular, it's just it didn't feel like an issue. It felt like a half issue. Like this not enough happened and yet enough happened where I'm like, oh, but like what? Like what so?
Characters are being driven, but I don't know
where
or by whom
or why.
And we can't stay in the car long enough to find out.
Exactly.
Like it's like the Uber drive from hell. Like,
yeah.
Or like 12 connecting flights.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, like maybe when the flight is over, I can look back at the map and figure this all out.
Yeah.
But as of right now, like it just feels like a hot mess.
Right. I don't feel
and
that
like,
it's a mess.
But here's what it is. I know also, which is why like this is so like I know I'm not reading this like just like totally normally either.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day,
you can't.
I know that Josh Williamson really cares about the DC universe, and I know that he knows how to tell a story.
Right.
And I know that he has like a real passion.
So you're looking for.
I'm trying to find the passion, and I know it's there, but I'm just not seeing it coalesce. So it's like I have this story that I feel like is a hot mess, but the other side of my brain knows that like it can't possibly be because
just
Josh.
Bad, yeah.
Because I know Josh.
Right.
His work.
Yeah.
Not Josh.
You know, not personally. You don't know him. Yeah.
But I know his work.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So like. I'm just like I'm having a crisis.
Yeah. I will
which
tell
I
you,
didn't want.
The fact they changed this to Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths is actually really apropos because I think that Crisis on Infinite Earths is a mess and almost impenetrable and has no protagonist.
Right, but like
Crisis, and is all about everything.
Crisis on Infinite Earths also like had an irreparable change.
Well, it was the first.
Right, and so like to make it a sequel again harkens back to my points when we talked about the past two issues that it feels like it's supposed to be something that's supposed to do something earth-shattering.
Right.
Unless
I don't think it's going to.
Dark Crisis because they're like, haha, actually, it won't do anything.
I think that's exactly right. I don't think it's going to do anything. I don't think that there's going to be a big change. I don't think.
Then, like,
I think the big change will be the Justice League's back and everybody's like, oh, good.
Listen, if that's the case, then there better be a hell of a like undercurrent story here that like really comes out because I haven't felt that yet.
No. Well, we're at the halfway part. We're not at the halfway mark yet. We're like more or less there.
Is it 8 issues or
it's 7?
It's 7. Okay.
So it's like we're at the half of a halfway mark.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know, but the thing is,
I am really glad that people who like it.
Yeah.
Because like that means that you're getting something you really want.
Right.
But there are a subset of us who are like, I've had enough.
Yes. No. It's asking a lot, and it is it's almost a bridge too far, but. It's written by someone who cares about the universe. They're trying to do something about this universe. They're trying to set things up in a place where the audio, like the editorial and the publisher doesn't care about what's happening in this universe. And we're trying to like establish what this universe is all about. And we're doing it through this means that will sell books and hopefully like firmly establish at least a standard.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doing a lot of work, and it's also clearly like a hodgepodge of other ideas that came from uncreative places like 5G and Future State and stuff like that. So like it is because Dark Crisis was what death metal was going to be called.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that's everything about it is from another place.
Yeah.
Being like wood shopped into this event that is really just about comic books, as opposed to it being about like how cool a statue is, or how, you know, like how dark and gritty the universe is. It's about this universe that like people like for the wrong reasons, or are gonna drop off of because they're not reading enough.
Right.
And I think that it will eventually coalesce, because I do trust the creative team. And the thing is that I like everything I'm seeing. This is the first one where I'm like, damn it, like there is no story here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no through. This is not chapter 3. This is just the part where more things happen in linear order.
But
I like the things I'm seeing.
I sat and read all of War of the Gods,
right,
and was able to comprehend.
Yes. Well, that is a mess of tie-ins, though. So like even the things that make, you know, like War of the Gods, the main book, is also
but that was like a like, hey, here's this.
Yeah, but you did have it all at once.
I did have it all.
So you were able to. It wasn't like you read.
Speaking, but I just want to say, like, I want to like give myself that credit that like that was something you were like, I can't do this. I don't.
No, I couldn't. Yeah.
Like so, like I was there and I did that,
and it had nothing to do with Wonder Woman.
No.
It was just the fact that like I was like, this is a mess.
Yeah. Again, surrounding Pariah.
Yeah.
Not really.
He was just in it.
He was just there.
He was a harbinger. He wasn't
like a harbinger of what was to come. Apparently.
But not harbinger the character.
No. And like, I'm honestly very glad for people who like this and are digging on it and like are getting something out of it. But like right now, I'm just not, and I would like to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
And again, I know what you told me last time, and like I was like, you know what, I'm not going to go like all in on my negativity.
No, I know.
To like show you, but I'm also not going to like, you know, change my opinions just because I know that the creator might
be watching,
hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
I'm just going to react the way I'm going to react.
Yeah, you have to. That's the only thing you can do.
That's all I can do.
Yeah. No, I agree.
That's what I got.
That's fair. I mean, like, look.
And again, if by issue 7, I'm like,
oh
damn,
no,
I will 100%. 100%. You hear
admit it, yeah.
I will 100% admit that.
Right. I don't think you're going to.
You don't know.
I really don't think so.
Okay.
Like I not because I have privileged information. I genuinely don't think that this is going to come together in a way that will justify its existence.
Okay.
I think the only justification is what you can find. And like it's not Josh's fault. It's not Dark Crisis' fault. It's DC and comic books' fault.
Okay.
Like the problem is DC doesn't care about this, but DC doesn't care about anything.
Yeah.
And like,
see Superwoman,
Supergirl, Woman of the Gods, like, or Woman of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, but DC doesn't care, and they're being forced to by a writer who isn't an editorial, and they know that they have to care enough to sell it because this is supposed to do well. And Just League 75 sold really well. I hope this is selling in as much as it's at least getting,
I'm sure it is,
a kind of like best hits volume of like, this is what the DC universe is. Look at everyone in the DC universe. Here they are, you know, like, but I think that it's also trying to do a lot of different things that don't all get fixed by publishing a comic book. You know what I mean? Like,
that's fair.
You can't make your editorial care. You can't hire a good marketing team by publishing a comic book about how good your universe is.
Yeah.
Like, you need marketers who are actually good at their jobs and not the people we have. You need editors who give a shit about what's happening and are willing to go out there and not just go, well, how many of you writers are like popular on Twitter? You'll tweet about it, and that'll be like having a marketing budget.
Right,
like,
right.
You know, so this book is trying to do a lot of things, and I think the fact there is no like, my only complaint is that there's no protagonist.
Right.
Which is the only thing that connects me to stories. And so, because I'm character driven.
Yeah.
And the DC universe is a place that's so big and so expansive and so iconic and one-dimensional sometimes, black and white in a way that I like, that like, it's impossible for a protagonist to emerge because it's about story and character and superheroes. So it's not going to be about like a poor kid who's just like wants their dad to love them, you know?
Yeah.
That's not what this is. That's not what everything has to be. But like, that's not what's drawing me in. But I also like, I'm looking at the nature of the DC universe, the DC comic book publishing line, which refuses to call itself DC Comics anymore, and who's in charge and what's going on. And I'm like, if you get your way, you will never make a DC comic ever again.
Mm.
And so I'm like, keep pushing Dark Crisis. Like, tell the people what your universe is and who are your heroes.
Mhm.
Even if it's not necessarily as engaging as it should be,
Well-
but it is, because at least things that happen authentically and to the characters that are reacting to them properly, and they're reacting to a thing that like doesn't really make any goddamn sense.
Sure. I mean, I get you.
Right.
Like right now by
That's
issue,
not enough.
Like,
I mean,
they're,
like
like in issue 3, they haven't really told me
Yeah,
who
well,
their heroes are or what they're
we
about.
don't. No,
Like-
no, there isn't. No.
Because and I'm gonna guess it's just because we haven't gotten to that part of the story yet.
I think it's because those heroes aren't established enough.
Possibly.
I think it's because Joe from the Green Lantern Corps hasn't been part of the DC universe long enough to
Well, I just mean, like,
legitimize
we're
her connecting
watching
with anybody.
all of our heroes fail right now.
Well, that's true, but like not
And
even
that
in a
happens
fun
story,
way.
That happens.
No, but I've watched the heroes fall and fail in a
Mhm.
colossal way, or in a heartbreaking way. No, these heroes are inept.
Yeah.
They're not
little bit.
failing.
Yeah.
They're sucking. That's the problem. John is a shitty Superman in this.
Mhm.
Not that he's a shitty Superman overall, but he's shitty at inspiring. He's bad at what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's like, and it's like, but that's cool, but also it's frustrating.
You know what?
But also it's not allowing them to fail on a spectacular level.
Yeah, and like I'm glad that like Kara's here, but I also wish she wasn't.
Right. Well, Kara's like in the back. She's not doing anything.
I know, but like that sucks because of what we just saw.
Yeah.
Like
Right. Like it'd be a great
because-
opportunity for Kara
because-
to like ascend or do something really cool.
Right, or just not be there because she's on her way back, because it's like we can't have her here because she will be ready
Yeah.
to do something.
Right. But we can't do that because also,
She has to be there.
no, we can't do that because, we can't let her be useful because John has to be the one who's useful.
Oh, sure, but I'm just saying, like, so like it's just like either you could not have her in it,
Right. Oh, yeah.
or let her be useful. Those are the options.
Yeah, those are your options. Well, as I understand, it seemed like apparently there was some implication that like she wasn't even supposed to be in that scene, and they just drew over her or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know if that's true, and I'm quick to deny it because it came from sources that are not in the comic book industry, so I don't fucking believe you.
Right.
But yeah, Dex Baker says, I thought Flashpoint Beyond was so dark, mean, and impenetrable, but I've completely turned the corner on it. Yeah, that's what the fucking book is. Yeah, right? Like that's what John
I
does.
mean, I still think it is mean to ruin.
It's mean what
an
they did
ending.
with Dark Crisis,
Yeah,
but
like,
not like
even-
the story.
And that's the thing. Like, even if I don't like this book right now, like that's still not. You don't do that to a fellow.
No, I
like,
agree.
Creative.
Well, but Jeff Johns is like, I'm never going to see you in person. Mr. Supertastic says, good back issues this week with Woman of Tomorrow. No, not often I see Ben get emotional. Does Ethan hate dragons? No, Ethan hates when DC overuses dragons.
Yeah, he
That was
hates
the only-
dragons in comics.
Yeah, they hate the
apparently.
fact that like he hates the fact that they use them in a way where it's like,
It
oh
wasn't-
no, we need to show you how cool this is. Let's put a dragon in here.
Hey, hang
it's
on. You
death
can't
metal.
just say it's DC.
Yeah, that's right. Marvel did it too. But like, no, it's Dark Knight's
It
metal.
was too many.
It's Snyder.
It was too many dragons. It was also Kate's.
Yeah, Kate's too. Yeah, Kate's and all of his dragons. Adam Thenhouse, keep the lights on. Thank you very much, Adam. MMM says, it's weird to me because death metal is also a commentary on the nature of crises. I say either do a straightforward and sincere crisis or don't do it at all. That's a fair point.
I think it would have been better to do a crisis that like is a meta commentary about making a crisis happen that was more like not like connected to Crisis on Infinite Earths, but is it Final Crisis with the Dibneys?
No, that's Identity Crisis.
Identity Crisis, more akin to that, like just a quieter story.
Yes, I agree, but like that's not what they're doing here.
No, I know. I see that.
William Gaza says, I'm gonna send you the bug shotgun shoots rock salt at high speeds. It flies. If it buzzes, we can shoot it. Yeah,
It's
but
just
I
the
would have
one-
broken my monitors. And
It's just the one fly.
yeah, it's just the one fly actually.
And now it's gone.
Yeah,
So now we
I
want to
think
be
I
able to
killed
kill
it.
it. Did you?
I think I might have.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah,
Oh,
let's
hero.
recommend some comic books that are coming out this week that we think you should pick up.
Yes, let's do that.
Amazing Spider-Man #7 is coming out. I don't know. We'll see. My love for Marvel's month-to-month Spider-Man is pretty much like 1% at this point.
Oof.
So we'll see what happens. Punisher #5 is a great series. You should be reading it. It's awesome. I'm enjoying it. Read it. Love it. And hey, speaking of Predators, Predator from 2 years ago is finally coming out. It's written by Ed Brisson with art by Kev Walker. I'm excited to see where this goes. It's a 6-issue mini, so we'll see if it like justifies its own existence or maybe allows for it to continue. But I'm hyped. Deceased War of the Undead Gods #1 is coming out. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's got Deceased in the title, so you know it's going to be cool, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So those are my picks.
I'm gonna, of course, say AXE Judgment Day #2 is coming out. it's just a little event that Kieran Gillen's working on over there.
Yeah.
But I get it. Again, we just talked about events. I get people have event fatigue. I'm reading this one.
Yeah.
But
and it's well written, and
it is,
and the writer cares and is writing like
but
most
so
of
does
those.
Josh. I know Josh likes it,
Yeah.
and like cares about it. And Kieran is writing quite a few of the tie-ins as well.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you have to read all the tie-ins, but I'm just saying he is writing them, and he did try to work with as many creators as possible on it, which is pretty dang dope that he attempted that.
Yep.
There was something else I saw that I was going to recommend, but I don't see it anymore. 8 Billion Genies #4 is also coming out, so if you're reading that, you might want to go and check that one out. Ghost Rider Vengeance Forever is coming out, celebrating 50 years of vengeance. So that's written by Ben Percy, who is writing the current Ghost Rider story with art by Juan Jose Rip. So I'm going to definitely check that out. I think is it oversized at all?
I think it has to be.
It's 36 pages, so it's slightly,
okay. So it's a little bit longer,
slightly larger than your average book. But like, hey, if you're looking for more Ghost Rider, you actually get an opportunity this week.
It's true.
Love
Everlasting is a Elsa Chartier and also Tom King. This is their Substack book. It's finally coming out in print through Image Comics. I think it's a really cool book. When you read the first like 15 to 20 pages, you're gonna be like, this is like a romance book from Marvel from like the 60s. I'm not here to read like an Archie like thing. It's not even Archie.
Yeah.
It's like a romance comic.
Yeah.
But there'll be like a turn. And so like it's worth reading for the turn. Give it one issue and see if you like the hook.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like the hook, then you're not going to like it. But like, I think check out Love Everlasting.
I don't know if I'm going to necessarily read this because I'm really like stuck on Krakoa right now, but I know a lot of people are like not feeling Krakoa and kind of yearn for the yesteryear of X-Men. X-Men Legends #1 is coming out, written by Roy Thomas.
Wow.
With art by Dave Watcher, and it's touted to be an all new tale set before Giant Size X-Men #1.
Oh, okay.
So before Giant Size X-Men brought Storm, Wolverine, Colossus, Nightcrawler, and Thunderbird to the team. So check it out. Like if you're looking for not Krakoa, this might be a book for you to pick up and grab. There's also going to be Ms. Marvel and Wolverine.
Okay.
I'm just letting you know because they're X titles technically, kind of, not really. This is the most important one for me, folks. The Sandman #1 is going to be reprinted as a black label book because it can't be Vertigo anymore, but that's fine. I'm going to guess, I don't know if it's printed
the first issue,
or if it's going, no, I think it's the first issue because it's 40 pages.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it's going to be printed or if it's going to be digital, but they're saying the price is free.
Hey.
Please pick it up.
Yeah, pick it up.
It's if it's free, if it truly is free and it's just the first issue, pick it up. If you watch the show, it's 40 pages to check out whether or not you think you might want to get the first volume. Then go grab Preludes and Nocturnes. Then go grab The Dollhouse.
Right.
And then
it's a great entryway.
Yeah, it is a great entryway. And it's a brilliant idea that I don't know if they're really shouting about necessarily. But like, please, if it is in fact free, it costs you nothing to get it.
Right.
And if you have DC,
like to read,
and if you have DC Infinite or DC Universe, the first 8 issues are on there. So that's the first volume. So you get all the way to The Sound of Her Wings.
Okay.
Sometimes, depending on which volumes you have, The Doll's House also has that, but something else.
Yeah.
But like, guys, just check it out. All right. It's a lot of words. It's a lot of reading, but it's done so because Gaiman is a writer. Like he's a storyteller and a writer, and he uses word to like almost infect you.
Yes.
In a positive way, in a good way.
In a good way.
The way that infections infect you in a good way.
Yeah.
That good type of infection.
That kind.
That sort of infection.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some other things that are coming out as well.
That Closet book is coming out.
That came out this week.
No, it's on the list.
That was on for.
Oh, it was on for last week.
week.
Okay.
Yeah. That wrapped up. There was 3 issues.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's awesome. It's done. I'm like, I like that. That's fun.
Thank you.
Little mini horror vignettes. Do it.
Yeah. Chithuli says, hi guys, my wife and I have gotten into manga and anime recently. We read Junji Ito that you recommended and loved it. Any other recommendations?
I mean, if you're looking for that, I mean, there are plenty of other horror mangaka out there. I think that's correct.
Oh,
I'm probably not right. But I would just go and grab some more Ito as well, because I don't know if you've read all of like Ito's body of work. But it ranges obviously from larger like stories like Uzumaki and Gyo, which also has some backups in it as well, but like to like just a whole bunch of different short story compilations. There's one that he worked on that he didn't actually write, but he did the art for. I think he helped to adapt it. So there's a lot out there for Ito. So if you're looking for like horror, go for that. I also really enjoyed not horror whatsoever. Like we're talking total other side of the spectrum there. You could grab Witch Hat Atelier. I think the art in that is gorgeous. So good. Uzumaki was a trip. Yes.
I meant mangaka.
Oh, mangaka is correct. Yay. I mean, I also like Attack on Titan. That's super good. A lot of people like Berserker. I haven't really delved into it, but I do have it and have it on my list to read.
Yes.
So you could definitely go and check that out. There's a lot to that as well. So if you're looking for something that like there's a lot to read, go for that.
Mm-hmm.
I would honestly just go and pick up what looks good to you.
Yeah.
I saw something recently I really wanted to pick up. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah, I remember you looking at it.
I was like, ooh, I like the art in this. Sometimes the art is enough to pull me in.
Yeah.
But there's just something about Ito. I just grabbed Superliminal thanks to Sal. He grabbed that one for me from Ito. It's new. It's a series of like 5 short stories. And I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
I try to slow myself into it.
Exactly.
I read the first
Ease
2
into
really
it.
fast. And I was like, okay, whoa. Slow down. It's like open up a bag of chips when you're starving.
That's right. Yeah, just have a lunch. But listen, we want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you guys next time. And don't forget to watch Tiffany on twitch.tv/ComicPop, and we'll see you guys next week. So long, I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
Bye.